Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best, and I am recovering from the first birthday of the Michael Jordan fans are the best channel. I was hoping to put on some epic footage. However, it was not taken. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about who's greater, Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. We have here Rex. How are you doing today?
Technical difficulties. Other than that, everything's fine. I've had a great day so far.
And Hoop God. Welcome, Hoop God.
Hey, there we go.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, sadly, Robin and Nick both had to back out for personal reasons earlier today. But we're gonna have a great discussion about who's greater. I think I guess we'll let everyone speak for themselves. Rex, who do you think is the greater basketball player, Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain?
Well, from my perspective, how I look at it, it's obviously Bill Russell. But
tell him, Rex.
I understand that other people have different values, different what they prioritize, and looking from their point of view, it's very one-sided that it's Wilt because of his statistical dominance as an individual. But my go-to argument has always been it's team game. What do you do for your team?
Yep.
And, so to me, personally, it's Russell. But I do understand the argument that Wilt is better individually as far as his individual talents and skills.
All right. Hoop God, what's your take?
Okay, my apologies. I had my mic muted. So I'm going to echo what Rex is saying about the team aspect, but I'm also going to include my own. Yes, I favor Bill Russell for what Rex has stated about the team aspect, because at the end of the day, basketball essentially is a team game. Now, I said it to say this. When you look at the numbers, just for instance, if you're just, hey, let's just look at Bill Russell, let's look at Wilt. You don't know anything about basketball. You're going to say, well, Wilt Chamberlain by far is a better player. I mean, Bill Russell averaged 15 points, but I mean, yeah, he was great at rebounds and he was okay with assists. Unfortunately, they didn't record blocks for those two gentlemen, because even those numbers would be like in another universe. Now, when it comes down to the intangibles, the selflessness, the aspect of winning, how can I help my team? That's where Bill Russell separates. And I'm also going to follow another point. Now, when Bill Russell realized his formula for winning, play defense, be a great rebounder, psychologically intimidate your opponent, make that extra pass to a teammate to get him an easier basket, or make the pass to have your teammate make the pass, the hockey assist. That's something else that I've started to do a lot of research on, because that gets overlooked. I'm going to give that to Bill Russell, like all those intangibles, all that leadership, the selflessness. Wilt, unfortunately, his numbers drop drastically when you get from the regular season to the playoffs to the finals, right? And this is something I've always said too. Your habits make your styles make fights. So I'll have people try to tell me, they'll try to argue me tooth and nail. Oh, well, Wilt was just doing what was that. No, I'm not listening to that, because if you're putting up 30 points per game, there's no formula. There's no way you're going to tell me or to be able to justify 30 to 22 points in the playoffs and then 22 to 18. No, I'm not listening to that. When I seen Bill Russell lead his team in points in a playoff run, circa 1965, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't 65, it was 62, because I may have them both confused. But either one of those years, I know he either led them in assists or led them in scoring. And then in 1966, he led them in assists and rebounds. So that showed me right there where Bill Russell can do what the team needs him to do. And his game 7 in 1962, when he put up 30 points and like 40 rebounds, I'm like, okay, that's clutch right there. That's clutch. That's showing me that you're doing what your team needs you to do to win the game. I want that guy on my team. Now, granted, Wilt, I tell people this all the time. He didn't start winning until he played more like Bill Russell. 1967, when he led the team in assists, they won. 1972, when he played more team style, they won. No time did Wilt Chamberlain ever lead his team in scoring did he win championships. Like Rick said, it's a team game. And I'm always going to choose Bill Russell for that reason alone.
Yeah, I feel bad because the two guys that were, and I say this in jest, I know that they had some real stuff come up, but the guys that argue for Wilt Chamberlain didn't show up. So I'm gonna have to defend Wilt Chamberlain here. Just for the
Well, I was going to do that too.
Okay. Do you want to defend Wilt Chamberlain and me and Hoop God versus you? Or
Sure. Okay.
Okay. Because the two guys that were they had stuff come up. So let me give my praise to. Well, I'll give my praise to both of them because they're both, in my opinion, all-time greats.
Well, yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So
indeed, they were.
The thing with Wilt Chamberlain, I believe, that is more remarkable than Bill Russell is he's credited for a lot of rule changes. Bill Russell did a lot of great things on and off the court. More specifically in civil rights aspects, let alone just being part of the greatest team of all time. I think that's it. You can argue that it's not, but I don't understand how you can, realistically speaking or truly speaking, that team was not the greatest team of all time. But what Wilt Chamberlain did was widen the lane again after George Mikan, changed the offensive had offensive goaltending rule be in place just for his absolute dominance, scoring 50 points per game, which is absolutely insane. And just his statistical dominance over everybody he ever played, just plainly. I don't think there's a real argument to say that he is not the most statistically dominant player of all time because he plainly just was better than everyone else in his time and space in regards to doing more. But I echo what you guys said about Bill Russell. To me, I picked Bill Russell over Wilt Chamberlain, but Wilt Chamberlain has a real argument for being a greater player than Bill Russell. Rex, since you decided so nicely to defend Wilt Chamberlain, what do you think is the greatest quality of Wilt Chamberlain, and why is it more important than or greater than what Bill Russell has done?
Well, what Wilt Chamberlain's greatness is that other than Babe Ruth, no other all-time great in any American sport ever, perhaps in world sport, I don't know all world sports, so I can't just say that, but no other historically elite player ever changed their way of playing their sport in the middle of their career, other than Wilt and Babe Ruth. They're the only ones.
Yeah.
So that speaks to an unheard of versatility.
Yeah.
Obviously, his athleticism. Now, Russell was every bit as athletic as Wilt. The difference being Wilt was 7'1", averaged 275, was below that when he was young, was above that when he got older after he hurt his knee and couldn't run as exercise anymore, couldn't do track and field. But the difference between Russell did the exact same things that Wilt did athletically, except Russell was 50 pounds lighter. That's why it's so awe-inspiring about what Wilt did. So you can't say that Wilt was more athletic than Russell. It's just that he was so much bigger than Russell that being equally athletic was so much more impressive.
Yeah.
But, I mean, but the one thing that Who God said that is something that always just annoys me so much is when people talk about Wilt's playoff and finals averages like he was a choker, like he wasn't performing. In 86, 87, I think it was, Jordan averaged like 37 points a game.
Yeah.
How many did he average in the finals that year?
Oh, he didn't go to the finals in 86, 87.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The year when Wilt was averaging 40 points a game for the first 7 years of his career, he wasn't going to the finals. His team wasn't making it. He didn't start making it to the finals until he changed his game and started playing like Russell. Then his stats were, guess what, guys? The same as Russell's. Imagine that.
What do you guys say about that, Hoop God?
Oh, so well, let me clarify what I mean by that. When the I would say the production dropped off. Now with Jordan, his numbers went up from the regular season to the playoffs, and then of course in the finals, especially '93 when he averaged was it 41 points per game on 50% from the field. So I would say if I had to pick out a Jordan,
but that's a year he went to the finals.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm talking about when the
okay.
production.
Well, you're quoting no. You were quoting Wilt's stats in the years that he was not getting to the finals, and then comparing him to later in his career after knee surgery, won finals with a broken hand, shooting hand, and then comparing those numbers to early Wilt when he wasn't making the finals to those regular season numbers. That's not fair.
Okay, so
that's a false equivalency.
So let me ask, before the knee surgery, what was his averages once he got to the playoffs and then the finals? Or what
he
year?
Didn't get to the finals.
Oh, so he didn't get there in 67?
He went to the finals, I think, in 62 or 3 with the Warriors, and then he started
64.
64, and then he went with 67, and then he went with the Lakers. But he went to
67. He had changed his style of play.
Yeah, I know. I give him credit for 67 and 72. I won't factor those in there because again, that's what I mentioned. Once he started playing the team style, he won. But I'm asking, like, what year did he get there before the knee surgery? So was it 64?
Pick whichever one you want.
Okay.
Because you're making a false equivalency. So just go ahead and make your example.
No. What I'm gonna do
64,
is
yeah.
64, yeah. I'm looking at Jordan's worst finals, which was 96 when he averaged 27, and I think his he was like 46% from the field. Short playoff series. Give me one quick second. Let's see.
I think Hoop God is just bringing up Jordan because you brought it because Jordan was brought up.
Yeah, so I'm looking at Wilt in 64, and yes, he put up 29, 27, 2.4. So this is before the knee surgery, but it's proving my point, saying that Wilt still lost when he was putting up those big numbers. So even before the surgery, I give him credit. Okay, he put up the numbers. He led the playoffs in points and total rebounds and win shares. Guy Rodgers led in assists, but until he modified his style of play, they didn't win. Jordan did. See, Jordan still led his team in scoring and won. That's the difference maker. Like, I'm not comparing them. I'm saying that Jordan's style of play allowed him to win. Wilt had to change his style of play. And I'm not saying Jordan didn't either, because Jordan had to cut back on the scoring, but he still led the team. And he also led in assists in the playoffs. So not in the playoffs. In the
and
finals.
what does that have to do with Russell versus Wilt.
No, when you brought up the point about his numbers
No,
dropping.
I brought up a point, and you're going off on a totally different tangent, comparing Jordan's whole career. That's not what we're talking about.
No, Rex.
I asked one simple question.
Yeah, I'm using 96. That's not the whole career. I'm just using 96.
I don't care. We're not talking about 96. Wilt died in 99.
I know, but wouldn't that be wouldn't that be like the fairest comparison to use Jordan's worst finals versus Wilt?
No.
Okay.
Why would that have anything to do with what I said or what our debate is today?
I think so I'll if you don't mind, let me slap your back like in a WWE match, Hoop God, for the Bill Russell argument. Freaking Bill Russell was consistent the entire time, just to piggyback off of what Hoop God is saying to a certain respect. Bill Russell, in respect to outside of always changing his game in the moment, always played as the glue guy, the style, the guy that put it all together. Wilt Chamberlain had to change his game to be as successful. So what he's using in regards to Michael Jordan is that Michael Jordan relatively played the same style as a scoring guard first, in comparison to what Wilt Chamberlain had to do, which is change his game, where he ultimately started doing better because he mimicked Bill Russell because of his greatness, and he had from an outside perspective and understanding that would actually win basketball games versus putting up 100 points in one game. So I'm gonna slap your back, or I'm putting my hand out, Hoop God, if you want to.
Oh yeah, good.
Right,
good looking out, Dart. So let me come back. So let me come back to Bill Russell also, because this is another finals to me that's remarkable. In 1965, he set a record for field goal percentage, because this is another running narrative that Bill Russell, I hear people saying he's just a glorified role player and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you're not going to tell me he's a glorified role player and he's going 70% from the field and setting an NBA Finals record. I don't even know if that record been broken today. Now, I know Wilt has a lot of records, Rex. I know that, okay? I'm not saying he doesn't. However, the records that Bill Russell have, to me, are more significant, because I believe he has a record for rebounds as a rookie in the playoffs and in the finals, in which they won. That's all.
So Jared K is saying that there's a difference between team accomplishments against individual accomplishments. So Rex is more of a Bill Russell guy. He is arguing Wilt Chamberlain just for the sake of entertainment, because our Wilt Chamberlain guys did not show up today. But to the point is that what's up? The
my bad, Dart.
No, you're good. The what I'm saying with that is that isn't the whole point, Jared, is to win the basketball games, and you can't do it by yourself. So how is it when you're on a great team and you're arguably the best player in the league, or at least one of the best players in the league? How does a team accomplishment not matter in regards to an individual? That's just my personal opinion. Rex, if you want to be a contrarian to that and or keep arguing for Wilt, please do.
Okay, I'll bring it back to Jordan again. You always hear this narrative, not necessarily from you two, but this narrative that Jordan had to learn how to win. You've heard that said before, right?
I think so. I think it's one of a lesser thing, but yeah, I think I have heard that. I've heard No, I was going to say I've heard LeBron had to learn how to win more than I've heard that Michael Jordan.
Okay, we'll say LeBron then.
Yeah.
We'll say it's irrelevant who we're talking about. All right, so LeBron had to learn how to win.
Yeah.
Showing that ability to learn how to win. Isn't that a positive trait?
Yeah, I think so.
Doesn't that show growth? Doesn't that show a progression?
Mm-hmm.
People, it's just like when people knock Kareem, it's because they only look at Kareem in the 80s, between the ages of 32 and 42.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pay attention to 70s Kareem.
Because that's when
Who
basketball
was twice
started in
as good.
1980.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People do the same thing with Wilt.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about Wilt, they talk about his first 7 years, 6.5 years, when he set all of those crazy records.
Yeah.
They don't talk about the latter half. After he changed and started playing like Russell, if you look across the board, his numbers when he was winning championships and going to the finals every year were nearly identical to Russell. That's an adaptability that now, if you go the other direction, was there ever a situation where Russell showed that he could score more than 40 a game?
I don't know what his career high was, but he definitely never averaged 40. Yeah.
I think it was like 37 or 39.
So Wilt showed in the later stages of his career with this growth that he could do what Russell did. But could Russell do what Wilt did?
So I'll answer that first. Could he score as much as Wilt? No.
Not just the scoring, all of the records.
Oh no.
Could Russell play 48 minutes a game? Could for an entire season? Could Russell play an entire career without fouling out? Could Russell shoot 72% from the field for a whole season?
Well, we don't know because it never happened.
Exactly.
But I would argue outside of the scoring, I think that Bill Russell I think there's a real possibility that he could have had gotten a lot of those records, particularly with rebounding. I believe that he's the still career rebounding leader total. I also believe that he's also
Wilt is
for finals. Or did
well, not for finals. You didn't say finals. You said the career rebound leader.
No. I think I said playoffs or finals.
No, playoffs is Tim Duncan.
For rebounds? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something where Bill Russell still holds multiple playoff records for in regards to statistics. So what I'm getting at is that because you would ask the question, could Bill Russell have done these things that Wilt Chamberlain did? I think he could have. He didn't, so it's conjecture. But to the point is that I think outside of scoring, if he had played in the same style, which Wilt Chamberlain adjusted to play like Bill Russell to win, so I think that says enough for his style. I think he could have, but can I prove that? No. So that's just being fair. But I think it says enough that Wilt Chamberlain adjusted his style to play like Bill Russell.
And I believe I'm gonna echo your point. I do believe Bill Russell had the capability of doing it. I just don't think he necessarily needed to because he was so team oriented. Now, Bill Russell also holds a record for most rebounds average in the series. I'm looking at it now at 29.5. If you want to round it up to 30, to me, which is very remarkable.
What is that? Say that again. Say that. What's that record?
He has a record for most rebounds per game in a NBA final series at 29.5. I'm looking at the records.
And Wilt has the record for rebounds in a playoff series at over 30.
Okay. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is because this is what's showing me with Bill Russell. It's what does my team need, right? Do you guys need me to go out there and give you 30 rebounds or 35 points or playmaking, get assists, get hockey assists? Now, Wilt, again, he showed the capability of doing that in 72 and 67. Now, another knock that I have to be objective about this. The very next year, they won the championship. 1968, Game 7. And y'all have to bear with me because I have to say this Eastern Division Finals sounds so alien to me. But in that second half, Bill Russell held Wilt Chamberlain to 0 points. That's what his teammates would constantly bring up about Wilt. In those big moments, he disappeared. Now, Russell, on the other hand, his game elevated. Like they say, cream always rises to the top. Now, I don't know if it was Wilt not wanting to mess up his numbers or whatever the case, because right now I'm looking at an article from his teammates, and this is Chet Walker. He said in training camp that Wilt wanted to lead the league in assists. He said he thought it'd be cool. And of course, we all thought it'd be cool. But he didn't want us to run. However, he wouldn't throw outlet passes off rebounds. Only Billy or Chet were allowed to run and score on the fast break if they got the long rebound. So this is just the teammate saying this. And when you look up the document, well, go watch the documentary on Netflix, they'll tell you the difference between the two. I mean, just point blank, Jerry West, Rick Barry, Hondo, all of them. They'll tell you like Wilt cared about the numbers, which is why when people say Bill Russell had the stacked team, I'm like, I don't see how that's even feasible when Wilt Chamberlain played with 8 Hall of Famers. So how did Bill have the stacked teams if he just played a team game? And the players voted on the MVP up until what, 64? So Bill Russell still had 5 MVPs. I'm thinking like that math isn't math. And you can't tell me Bill Russell's on a stacked team and then his peers are voting him MVP. I'm like, no. Clearly he's making his teammates better. And Wilt didn't start winning until he started playing like Russell, like you said, Dart.
Yeah, Can I add something real fast? Because I was laughing because it is so it's so funny that Wilt just had to give credit to where credit is due, that he had that power and that ability to just say, I think it'd be cool if I led the league in assists, just to give some credit to him.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious that he's just like, well, this year I'm going to just lead the league in assists because it'd be cool.
And then he went out and did it.
Yeah, no, and that's great.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. However, to what Hoop God is saying is that in regard to Russell's influence, and even though he was voted in by his peers as the MVP 5 times versus Wilt's 4, which I think says enough in regard to what the players felt about Bill Russell in comparison to Wilt Chamberlain. And he was able to win the MVP in the 50-point per game season, amongst other ones, over Wilt Chamberlain. And it's a regular season award. So it has nothing to do with him. Well, I don't want to say nothing because that'd be a stretch, but it's not supposed to have to do with you being a great finals appearance guy. If you win 5 times in the regular season, then that just means that versus 4, and you played generally in the same era. I think, and especially with your peers voting you in, it seemed that most people that played in the NBA thought that Bill Russell was better. What's your take, Rex?
Well, yeah, that's because in that time, like you said, time and space. In that time and space, winning was the most important thing. I mean, that's the era that got most of the modern world to hate Americans, because you ask people in other countries, about Americans. Americans have to win at everything.
Yeah,
they just have to win. That's how Americans think. It's only about win, win, win. Well, it's that generation that fought in World War II in Korea, and then came back and then started watching baseball, football, basketball, and started raising their kids with that mentality that you have to win, because they went through the Depression as children, went through World War II fighting, then had families, and taught their children playing sports in the late 40s and 50s. These guys would end up being the pro players of the 60s. Winning and being part of a winning team is what matters. Now, because of the outrageous salaries and the fact that their salaries are tied to their individual statistics and accolades, that is now what's most important now. Wilt was far ahead of his time in that aspect. If Wilt played today, my God, he'd probably be the first, $60 million a year player, because with all the incentives being tied to your personal stats, he would just be going crazy like when he was young.
Who would you associate with Bill Russell? Could you associate somebody like as close as possible to somebody like Bill Russell? Because you're Giannis. Hoop God says Giannis. What would you say, Rex?
No, there's no one like Bill Russell.
He's
the most unique player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You have people in the NBA, not as much now because he died, and you know how it is. Once you die, they
come out.
The people involved, they just start giving you flowers, and they don't do the negativity. But you jump back 20 years ago, and you look at articles 30 years ago, people were slamming Russell. I mean, why do you think kids today sit here, and not even kids, grown men today will say, "Oh, well, Russell only played on one side of the ball. Well, he was all defense."
Yeah.
There was no offense in his game. That is such an outright lie. Mm-hmm. His career scoring average is roughly the same as Scottie Pippen. Was Scottie Pippen all defense?
He did everything. He was a utility man.
So was Russell, but he was the greatest utility man ever. And that's the point. It's a team sport. Russell was the greatest team player. All right. Make Robert Horry, his mentality to fit in on any team he's on and contribute how the team needs him to contribute, but give him Bill Russell's mentality and Bill Russell's size. Well, he pretty much had Bill Russell's size, Bill Russell's athleticism. Then you would have perfect basketball player. The problem with, and I'm supposed to take the Wilt side, and Wilt was a learning process. Through his whole career, was he as great as Russell? No. But by the end of his career, he was. And I would argue he in some ways surpassed Russell. By the end of his career, he learned the team game as he went along. He matured. He changed. He altered his entire game, which, like I said, the only other all-time great in any American sport to ever do that was Babe Ruth. So you're talking two guys in an entire century to ever do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was Wilt as good a player in 61, 62, 63, 64, 65? No. But by the time Wilt got to 72 and had become a finished product mentally as to how he wanted to play the game, they won 33 straight games. They won the finals. He was the anchor. And he played like Russell, but outplayed Russell playing Russell's game. He did Russell better than Russell that year by the end of his career. It was a learning curve. Was he that great? Was he that great his whole career? No, he was not.
So I wanted to say that, Wilt got better when he started, like you said, mimicking Russell. Now, you can argue that he was better than Russell when he didn't get the chance to play Russell after Russell retired, because that was his decision to do so. And I get your point. I'm not saying that it's wrong. Maybe it's true, but we don't really know if he would have beaten Russell. But one thing that I think Russell has over Wilt in spades is the mind for the game. He was a player.
Yeah.
He was a player coach for 3 years, and was able to win 2 championships while playing the game. I think that matters with your greatness as well. that I think a lot of people overlook. Obviously, I'm not saying you do, Rex. You know, we've already prefaced that you're Russell guy, but I think that his mind for the game is just as impressive for what he did on the court. And there is some tangible evidence that he did have a mind for the game by winning and being a player coach at the same time. Hoop God, do you have anything to add with Bill Russell?
Yeah, so I'm looking at Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain in Game 7s. I think y'all might find this interesting. Bill Russell is 10-0 in Game 7s. Wilt played in 9. He lost 5. I also want to add in the fact that.
By how many points?
What do you mean? How many points? With what?
How many points? How many points did they lose those Game 7s by?
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, I didn't keep up with the point total.
9.
The reason I'm saying
9.
Okay, the reason I'm saying this is because also this is Jerry West on record of saying I don't want to rap Wilt too hard, you know, because he's a teammate. And of course, he was. I think he said this after he was deceased. But this was another thing that was glaring about Wilt and the difference between him and Russell. Once again, Bill adjusted to his team. You had to adjust your game to Wilt. It was only until Wilt modified his game and played team-oriented basketball that he started to find success. And what I'm saying is if you just take that to a modern day time today, right? You take one guy who dominates the ball and does not allow his teammates to fulfill their role. Well, how can you win? If you have to be in every part of the offensive, the points, the assists, the rebounds, the steals, the blocks, what are your teammates doing? Like, you're not allowing your guards to be playmakers. You're not allowing your big man to get the rebounds and block shots and kick out passes. It's like you have to find your formula for the team. Like, what do I need to do? Do I need to be a defensive stopper? Prime example, let me use Dennis Rodman, not to digress too far. But when Dennis came to the Pistons, right, Isaiah Thomas was telling him, hey, Dennis, you need to get out here and get some shots up or whatever. And Dennis was like, for what? Why? Y'all know how Dennis talk. And he was like, well, Isaiah, just look at it like this. He was like, when you shoot the ball, 75% of the time, it comes off over here, like on the left corner, like I would say from that 10 to 12 area on the floor. He was like, well, when Joe Dumars shoots the ball, it's the exact opposite on the right side of the corner. He was like, when Mark Aguirre shoots the ball, generally it comes off right around where the restricted area would eventually become. And Isaiah was just in disbelief. He was like, this man had rebounded down to a science. And Dennis is like, my job will be play defense, hustle, do the dirty work, get the rebounds, and get the fast break going, right? I'm saying that to say everybody's going to find what they do best on a team. But if you have one guy that wants to just try to impact every bit of the stat sheets, that's going to be easy. You can defeat that in the playoffs because this guy has the ball. You can develop a strategy because you know, okay, this guy wants to do everything. Okay, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to nullify him. We're not going to allow him to get his normal not playoff, but regular season totals and percentages, right? He's going to get his numbers because it's his habit. You know, like they say, styles make fights. Whatever you do in the preseason and the regular season, you're generally going to try to do that in the playoffs. But if you can develop a strategy to minimize the impact, you're going to win. So if you got a guy that he can only play one way, everything has to go through me. Okay, cool, go ahead. If you're shooting 50% in the regular season, we're gonna tone that down to about 41%, 42%. So you got to force more shots. You already not getting your team involved. Now you're getting them involved less. That's going to favor the opponent. So that's why, again, I would have to side with Russell, saying that he didn't have that mindset. He had the mindset, okay, Hondo, you can score. Tommy Heinsohn, you can score. Sam Jones, you can score. Whenever you guys need me, okay, I'll show up. I'll take over. Whenever you guys need me, you know. And to me, that's the difference when you got a team-oriented guy versus an individual-oriented guy. But to give Wilt his credit, once he played like Bill, he did win. But however, I'm looking at the playoffs. Bill is 7-1 against him in playoff series as well.
Yep, he only lost him in 67. The one thing I wanted to add before, unless you had more to say, Hoop God, is I believe, and obviously there's outside of just the team success, I believe that Russell had Wilt Chamberlain's number in spades. Just plainly speaking, due to some of the numbers that Hoop God is saying that he was 7-1 against him in the playoffs.
Wait, Dart, are you saying literally or figuratively?
Well, you know what? I don't even because I think Wilt Chamberlain's number was number 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
Bill
Okay,
Russell's
I got
number
you.
was 6. I was saying that he had his number figuratively, that he was
I got you.
beat him all the time.
Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, no, that's all. I just think that he had his number individually as well. Not that he was more a better basketball player. Did you have anything that add, Hoop God, before Rex comes in and starts cooking?
No, go ahead, Dart.
All right, Rex, what do you got to say about that?
All right. Well, the story that he told about Rodman, I never understood that story. And I never understood why, because everyone looks at that stuff. I never at that level. The ball comes off to this side so much percentage of the time when you shoot from here. We all knew that. The coaches give you those stats. They did 35 years ago. Barkley had the same quote. Mm-hmm. Moses Malone taught him that. I mean, I used to do that. I was a point guard, and I understood where guys missed and where it came off and how it came off. And when guys with different shooting forms, if you watch the backspin, it changes where the ball comes off. Acting like Dennis Rodman, some sort of savant for recognizing that. They all knew that. We all knew that. I knew that. I never understood that story. Why Isaiah acts like it's so like he's Einstein or something. The coaches give you freaking paper. They go over that with you. Shot charts, rebound charts. They've gone over for 70 years. It's nothing new. It's not. I don't know why they act like Dennis Rodman is some sort of savant with that. I don't get it. I never did.
Mm-hmm.
I never understood that. Back to Wilt and Russell. Like I said, Russell came in knowing how to play, how to fit into a team. And it all goes to how he was brought up and how he came into the sport. Wilt came in the exact opposite. Dominated in middle school all the way up. Was playing semi-pro ball, pro-am league at 17 years old under an assumed name and averaging 70 points a game. It's documented. But like I said, once Wilt learned, it was a progression. Once Wilt learned, quote unquote, how to win, other than 71, when he lost in the Western Conference Finals to young Kareem and Oscar Robertson, he was in the finals every year. The years he lost, he won in 68, or excuse me, 67, right? 67. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then didn't make the finals, then made the finals in LA, and didn't get a chance to win it because his coach benched him. And his coach got fired after the finals for doing so. But fans will knock Wilt. Well, he lost the 69 finals. Well, he didn't lose it. He didn't get a chance to lose it because his coach benched him. In another finals, in 70, he had missed almost the entire season, just like Jordan in 86. Missed almost the entire season because of foot injury. Wilt missed almost the entire 70 season because of knee surgery. Was told, just like Jordan, was told by the team doctors not to come back, to gear up for training camp next year. Just like Jordan, Wilt said, no, I'm gonna play. Jordan goes for 63, sets a playoff record, gets swept, but he's looked as a hero because he came back against doctor's orders. Wilt comes back against doctor's orders, and not even being able to run down the court, was able to still get his team, contribute to the team getting to the finals, but couldn't win it. But he gets credit for losing it, when Jordan gets credit for giving the effort. No one gives Wilt any credit for the effort when he went through exactly what Jordan went through and still got his team to the finals. Then he goes in another finals. Fans knock it, saying, well, he only averaged 10 points a game in that finals. Completely oblivious to the fact that he was playing with a broken shooting hand. And he still led the finals, both teams, in rebounding and blocks. But only scored 10 points a game because he had a broken shooting hand. And they still will knock him for losing it, not giving him credit for fighting through and getting there.
Can I so the one thing that I always found funny about Wilt Chamberlain, and I feel it's similar to LeBron James. One of my personal friends actually was making fun of me for yesterday's live stream because he's like, why are you talking about pre-80s and then you're talking about LeBron James? But let me bring LeBron James up just for this purpose. The coaching. Wilt Chamberlain, just like LeBron James nowadays, has cycled through about 1 billion coaches. I don't know exactly the number for Wilt Chamberlain or LeBron James, but I know that I'm pretty sure it's more than 4 or 5 for both of them. This is not to discredit particularly Wilt Chamberlain in respect to his play style, but it is to discredit him in respect to his team play. 6 for Wilt?
6 that I can name off top of my head. So yeah, at least 6.
But it's the same thing with LeBron James.
That's who I compare him to, ironically.
No, I think LeBron James is a better longevity player, and then in respect to statistical dominance, Wilt Chamberlain very light, because he's only dominated the league twice ever in his career, which in the 1 scoring title and the 1 assist title, versus Wilt Chamberlain, who had won, I guess, in total 18 individual titles.
Yeah, because he got 7 scoring titles, 11 rebound, and 1 assist.
19.
When you take the stats, he wipes LeBron. So yeah, I'm with you there.
9 field goal percentage titles. That was his argument against Jordan. He said when Jordan was leading the league all those years, he was also leading the league in missed shots. He said, when I was leading the league in scoring, I was also leading in field goal percentage. I shot more, I made more, I missed less.
Now, Rex,
that was his argument.
Rex, wouldn't that be a false equivalency, saying that Michael Jordan shoots the majority of, or predominantly, his shots are coming from the perimeter versus Wilt's shots are coming closer to the rim?
No.
Now, I know Wilt had a fadeaway, but the majority of his shots are still point blank to the rim.
They weren't point blank, but regardless, that's not a false equivalency. Those are the shots they chose to take. I can show you.
Okay,
I can show you hours.
You want to get a GFI?
Yeah.
I can literally show you hours of YouTube videos of Jordan dunking. He dunked just as much as Wilt in Jordan layups. All right. So that is not a false equivalency. I believe there is actually a website that charted what we know, and Jordan actually dunked more than Wilt.
Well, yeah, they didn't start tracking the shot chart till 96, 97. So I don't know how
the NBA didn't start charting. They had shot charts since the early 1950s. There's a transcript for every game that the scorers log where it has play-by-play, 15-foot wing jumper, made, missed.
So wait a minute.
Layup, left side layup.
Let me make
made.
sure I'm hearing this correctly. So Wilt and Jordan were shooting the same shots when they were leading in field goal percentages?
I didn't say the
scoring
same
titles?
shots. I didn't say the same shots. That's
So
not what I said.
So where's the comparison there?
You said it's a false equivalency because Jordan was shooting from farther away. Jordan got more, and Wilt was shooting up close. Jordan had more dunks than Wilt.
Well, wait a minute.
And he also made more free throws.
How would he dunks when they played in a faster pace though? In the 60s.
What does that have to do with it?
I mean, they're playing in a faster pace, so they're going to get up more shots. So customarily,
I played in a fast pace, and I had no dunks. What does that have? What does one have to do with the other?
Wilt's a center. He's not shooting perimeter shots like Jordan though, and Jordan is not dunking that much. Jordan had a mid-range shot.
Jordan's also getting 5 rebounds a game, and Wilt's getting 25. So how is he dunking at the other end on a fast break when he's the one getting the rebound and outletting it?
I mean, I know Jordan's getting 5 rebounds as a guard, that's pretty significant, but Wilt should be getting 20 rebounds. That's a lot of missed shots too. So I'm still not understanding that. I'm not understanding the math there. Like Wilt is a center, so he's going to take closer shots to the basket. Jordan's a guard. He's going to take shots more away from the rim because he didn't just dunk. Jordan had that mid-range jumper. He even had it in North Carolina.
So I don't know the actual numbers. If there's a tangible thing, so I agree with who got in respect to that at face value, you would think that Wilt Chamberlain would have more dunks. But I don't know.
You're missing the point. But that.
No, let me finish what I'm saying. Is that to bring it back to defend Rex. Not to do this but just to quickly defend Rex and then go back to what I'm saying is that the field goal percentage, it's your decision to shoot wherever you shoot.
Right.
So, because it doesn't, so ultimately it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, at least, where you shot, because the point is to make the basket. And if you did it better, if you're shooting mid-range shots or dunks or layups or whatever, I don't think you can fault somebody for the decisions that they make, other than that just shows where they got a lower percentage. And then I can see, because I know that Wilt was known for his finger roll specifically,
and the fadeaway too. It shocked me when I saw that he actually was the inventor of that shot. I was like, oh wow, he really invented that shot. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, so I could see how Michael Jordan could have more dunks than him. But I agree with you at face value, because I don't know the actual numbers, that you would think at face value that Wilt Chamberlain would have more. But, looking at least what I know about Wilt Chamberlain, I know he was largely, in comparison to somebody like Shaq, who was that people compare physical dominance with, is that he was a way more of a finesse player in comparison than to Shaq. But in regards to the field goal percentage, even if Wilt Chamberlain shot a higher field goal percentage and he won the X amount of field goal percentage titles, that's because he decided to shoot there and he was effective at it in comparison to Michael Jordan. What's up?
Dart, would it be more accurate? I'm just throwing this out here because I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just throwing this out here. Jerry West leads the NBA in field goal percentage amongst guards more than Jordan. The reason why I'm saying that is Jerry West and Jordan are both two guards, or Jerry West, I call him a point guard or two guard, whichever, because he played that position. Now
he played both.
Yeah, he played both. But if someone telling me Jerry West has more field goal percentage titles than Jordan, it would make more sense, because they played the same position and generally took the same amount of shots from the perimeter. That's the point I'm making. Like, I would never compare Steph Curry's field goal percentage to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, I just wouldn't do that, because we know Steph Curry is shooting 30-foot jumpers versus Giannis, who's getting like more layups, dunks, and probably shooting around, that low post area. That's all I was just saying on that part.
No, I get what you're saying. I don't. Yeah, in the totality of it, though, I would say, because you're able to do that, it's just not your role, that it doesn't matter. But I get your point that, generally speaking, a bigger guy is going to have a higher field goal percentage. But I don't think that, in respect to arguing, why Jordan or I'm at a loss for words right now, but I don't think ultimately it doesn't, in my opinion, matter because, if you're talking purely field goal percentage, then that's, it is what it is. If somebody has a higher one than they do, but I get what you're saying, that guards generally will shoot lower field goal percentages, and you're trying to keep it in that realm. But I wouldn't personally, if that's what we're talking about. But I get what you're saying. So I've dropped the link. If anyone wants to call in, you're welcome to call in. I'll drop it again. And but yeah, we're talking about Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. Rex has decided to change his affiliation just for entertainment's sake, because the people that were going to argue Wilt Chamberlain weren't able to come today. But back to it.
Look up John Stockton's field goal percentage.
Yeah, I know it's high.
It's far above Jordan.
Yeah. No.
But Stockton, he didn't take as many attempts as Jordan, though.
Oh, okay.
Like Jerry West,
all right.
Yeah, they took the same amount of attempts.
Okay, so if we take out where you're shooting from and we take out the limit that you're shooting, then this guy's the best.
Well,
that's how we're doing it now.
No, Ricks. This would be more apropos if you take John Stockton to Steve Nash. Like, they generally took the same amount of attempts. It would be closer in comparison because they weren't volume scorers. They could score now. I'm not saying they couldn't. I don't know.
What is a volume scorer? Because before like this modern age, if you want to call it, I never heard the term volume scorer before in my life. What is a volume scorer?
Guys who customarily take a large amount of shot attempts, seeing that it's suitable to their role. That's why I was saying, like with Jordan, okay, Jerry West and Michael Jordan, those guys hovering from the 30 point per game. So you got to get up a lot of shots to get there. Now, the only outlier would be Kevin Durant, because he's like, if you take a definition of efficiency, right? Just efficiency, you're going to say Kevin Durant, because he's the only guy that I can just think of in my mind can give you 30 points on 13 shots, like maybe 2 threes, a couple of mid-range shots, and one, and a bunch of 3-point plays. But everybody else, they're customarily going to be like 19, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's a high volume. So that's where that term volume score.
So what does it mean? Okay, volume score. So what does it mean?
You're taking a lot of shots to get those numbers. Now, are you efficient at doing that? Because okay, look at Allen Iverson. He's a high volume scorer, but he's shooting like low 40s, 42, 41. So he's shooting more to get his numbers, but he's not efficient. So yeah, that's a more of a raw score because he's taking a high volume. However, he's not efficient. But if you take Jerry West, you take Michael Jordan, you take Dwayne Wade in 06, they're giving you that 28, 29 points per game. It's a high volume, and they're shooting the ball, but they're efficient. That's the difference. Now, that's why I said I will compare Stockton to Steve Nash. That's what I'm looking up right now, just to see the disparity in the shot attempts.
But it doesn't. That doesn't answer my question. That's volume scorer. It's used as an excuse. It's used as an excuse when someone shoots a low percentage. Oh, well, it's okay because he's a volume scorer.
Okay.
Like to justify somebody's inability to score effectively.
Okay, so Jerry West averaged. Yeah, so Jerry West averaged 20 shots per game. It was 20.4. So you don't round that up. So that's a volume scorer because he's taking a lot of shots, just like Michael Jordan. But the difference is those guys are efficient, though. Like you can still be a volume scorer and be efficient, but you can also be a volume scorer and be less efficient. I just think they weren't able to create that term until what mid 80s, early
They
90s.
created that term to justify a certain player's career is what they did, but because it's stupid. It's
Well,
stupid. If you shoot it the most, look, this is Wilt's argument, not mine. Remember, I'm arguing Wilt's side here. This is Wilt's argument, his own words.
Yeah.
If you're going to shoot the most, you owe it to your team to make the most. So what is wrong with that statement then? How is he incorrect?
I don't think he's wrong. I think it's being missed like it out of context. What the point I'm making is when you're shooting like that, if you're winning, I don't really think anybody's gonna really criticize you, because what was the knock on Jordan before he won? They kept saying what? Oh, you can't lead the league in scoring and win a championship because it hadn't been done since Kareem. I mean, the media stayed on him, and Jordan was just like, it drove me nuts because I don't believe in that. I believe you can lead the league in scoring and then win championships. So once he broke through, you didn't really hear them like try to harp on his scoring because he was winning. I think it only becomes a problem is when you're doing all that scoring and you're not winning. Like look at another one of my favorite players, the Iceman, Julius Jervin. He has 4 scoring titles, but he never won. However, he was 50% from the field. So yes, he was scoring, he was efficient, he didn't win, but you don't really hear anybody talk about him because it wasn't like he was missing shots. He was making them. He was converting. Now, I'll say another guy, Carmelo Anthony. He has a scoring title, but he was doing a lot of scoring, but he wasn't winning and he wasn't really efficient. So that's why I think that term volume score, I think they just made a general term to say, okay, these are the guys that are getting up a lot of shots, but we got to separate the guys who are efficient at doing it and the guys who are inefficient. Because like T-Mac is another one that I like growing up. Took a lot of shots, wasn't really efficient, but if you're just looking at the eye test, it just wowed you like, oh, wow, this guy's spectacular. But if you're looking at a guy like Nikola Jokic, he's not giving you that wow factor, but he's extremely efficient because he's shooting from the 3, from the mid-range, down low, pick and roll. Like he's hitting you from a variety of areas. It's just not, jumping off the screen and being like, oh my gosh, did you see that move? Because I used to be a prisoner of that until I started understanding basketball. Like, okay, it isn't all about the pizzazz and the flash. It's about, are you doing this at an efficient rate and you're helping your team win? Because
so volume shooter is a nice way of saying that a guy misses a lot, is what it is.
Not necessarily, because you got guys who converted. That's why I said I think there's a separator. Like you got guys who are efficient, but you got guys who are inefficient.
Well, like to just because I'm not huge on some of these things, but just to add on to it, to take Hoop God's side, Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan were volume shooters in that definition. And they both were averaging around 50% for their field goal percentage. So I'm not saying that's amazing. Wilt Chamberlain averaged higher, but what I'm getting at is though 50%.
He led the league 9 times.
No, yeah, he did, but he was a volume shooter in this context. So
yeah,
even he didn't miss as much as Michael Jordan or other players that didn't make as much as Michael Jordan. But I think Hoop God's point is that a volume shooter is somebody that just shoots more than average. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're missing. It just means that you shoot more than everyone else.
Yeah,
no, because I always hear it as an excuse. Like
I do too, but I'm just saying that but to the point of what a volume shooter is, it doesn't specifically say you miss.
Yeah, the reason I was saying it because I looked it up. So Steve Nash averaged right at 10 shot attempts per game for his career. John Stockton was 9. That's why I said, like, if you compare the two, I would never compare Jordan and Stockton because I think Jordan doubled him in shot attempts. Him and Steve Nash are roughly the same. That's why I'm like, when I make these comparisons, I got to see the attempts. So yeah, Jordan and Wilt, you can say, yeah, those are volume scores. They took a lot of shot attempts versus Nash and Stockton, who they took a low amount of attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's all still what the point. Well, let's just move on. spending too much time trying to get you to understand a point, and you're not grasping it. Let's just move on.
No, Rex. I get where you're coming from. I just think it's not really justifying. It's just a general label that they like were able to come up with, like volume scores. They're taking a lot of shots. Those are guys who are leading the team in shot attempts. I don't. But like I said, it may be two different views. That's fine.
So one thing I want to say is that with to bring it back into the discussion is why I want to hear because I know we've been going first in general Hoop God, so I want to hear if Wilt, again, I'm not saying you actually believe this, but if Wilt was so much more dominant as a rebounder, why was Bill Russell able to win 5 rebounding titles, and some of them were in the time of Wilt Chamberlain, or 4?
4.
Yeah.
And Wilt won 11. So what are we talking about?
5 of those were after Bill Russell retired.
And Bill Russell has numerous rebound titles before Wilt was a rookie. What are we talking about?
No, I'm saying, how is he so much better of a rebounder than Bill Russell? Because he was so much more dominant in the rebounding. He was so much more dominant in everything. Or that's a lot of. I'm not saying this is your argument, but a lot of people will say that he was just so much more individually dominant than Bill Russell. But how was Bill Russell winning rebounding titles over Wilt Chamberlain?
He didn't win many over. I think he won 2 during Wilt Chamberlain's career. And Wilt won every other year that Russell played.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. How was he able? If he was so much more dominant, then why was Russell more dominant in the same time and space than Wilt Chamberlain in rebounding?
He wasn't.
In certain years. In certain years, he was. That's a fact.
Well, that's not dominant. Doing it at certain times is not the definition of dominant.
For a year, it is the definition of dominant. He was more dominant in those 2 years than Wilt Chamberlain. I'm just saying in total. I'm not saying you're married to this. I'm not.
Okay. Look up how many in these years he won the rebound title. When Wilt was in the league, what was his number?
What are you talking about? What number? How many rebounds
His rebounding number. His rebounding number that he won the rebounding title with. How many rebounds per game was it?
I don't know specifically, but it was over 20.
And who was second in the league those years?
Wilt, but what about the years that Wilt?
So that's not dominant. That's not dominant.
Who was second when Wilt was winning, and Bill Russell was playing?
It wasn't always Russell, but it was the majority of the time. But we're talking 2 titles to 11 titles. It's reversed from their championships.
It's 2 to like 6 or 7.
It's reversed from their. Wilt only played 4 more years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it was 11, it was 7 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 7 and 2.
Yeah.
And you're saying the guy with 2 was dominant.
So I just looked up their game.
Yes, in those years he was dominant. He was more dominant than Wilt Chamberlain.
He wasn't dominant. He beat him by, I believe, less than a rebound a game. That's not dominant.
But was Wilt Chamberlain more dominant in rebound, or was he dominant in rebounds in comparison to Russell then?
Yes, because he did it consistently. Not twice. He did it 7 times.
Okay. But Russell
7 over 2 is dominant. 2 over 7 is not dominant.
In those years, he was more dominant than Wilt Chamberlain. That's a fact. Those 2 years, those 7 years, he was more dominant than Bill Russell. That's a fact as well.
That's the same play on words as me mentioning, Bernardino. Do you have any idea who Bernardino is?
No. Did he win a title?
He's world famous. He's world famous. How do you not know him?
Bernardino.
He's famous in what he does. It doesn't mean he's famous to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He won the Tour de France 5 times. He's the greatest French cyclist ever. You don't know who he is because you're not into cycling. But in the world of cycling, he's one of the preeminent names. He was dominant. But if only to that small bit of people is he famous. That's different than being Michael Jordan famous, who people that don't even follow basketball know the name Michael Jordan. You're saying the same thing. He was dominant 2 times. Okay, well, doing it 2 times, by definition, is not dominant. It's the wrong word.
No, he was dominant in those years. He was the most dominant in those years, or he wouldn't have gotten those titles in those 2 years versus Wilt Chamberlain and the other 2 that he won before him. That's literally what the definition is to prevail over all others. He had the most rebounds.
And Wilt did it 7 times over him. So how is Russell more dominant?
I didn't say he was more dominant. I just said, how is Wilt
That's your
Chamberlain?
argument. You're asking me.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I said, how is Wilt Chamberlain that much more dominant? And you said yourself, you said that Wilt Chamberlain wasn't second all those years and that Bill Russell wasn't second otherwise, which nullifies that aspect of it. So
now you're doing the LeBron argument that 10 finals appearances beat 6 wins.
I know. I never said that. I never said Bill Russell was more dominant rebounder in total. I said he was more dominant in those 2 years. So I was saying, I don't
know. Maybe Wilt had a cold a couple nights. I mean, what's, you're literally talking a difference of like 40 rebounds for a season was the difference those years.
But I mean, it goes both ways is what my point is.
It doesn't go both ways because one did it twice. One did it 7.
Let me wrap it around. Is that they both were very good rebounders, but Wilt Chamberlain is credited for being a lot better of a rebounder by some people
because he did it against a more varied arsenal of competitors. Is the only reason, in my opinion. See, Russell never went against Wilt. Russell never went against Jabbar. Wilt did.
Okay, yeah.
And out rebounded him. He went against in Detroit. Oh my gosh. Lanier. He went against Bob Lanier. Okay. Wilt played against more Hall of Fame centers than any other player.
Yeah.
And he won rebounding titles against every one of them. That is where that comes from, that he's the most dominant rebounder. If Russell had played one more year and grabbed more rebounds than rookie Kareem, then he'd have he'd be closer in the argument.
Yeah. So,
I'm trying here, guys. I'm trying to figure out a way of arguing for Wilt. All right.
I got you, man.
I got you. We'll leave it alone because we're just splitting hairs, just trying to do it, and it's all fun, of course. So,
oh yeah, most definitely.
What do you got to say, Hoop God?
Well, I was looking at it in the game 7s. The numbers actually do favor Wilt. So, to Rex's point, I guess in the big moments, per se, in the rebounding category, yeah, Russell outshined him, but it's by just 1 point average, but I mean still, the higher number wins. I think somebody said it on, was it Ving Rhames who said it on Fast and the Furious? He said, I don't care if you win by an inch or you win by a mile. A win is a win. So yeah, he won that category. Now I'll say this. I won't argue anybody who would take Bill Russell's rebounding numbers, but yeah, if we're taking the face value, it does favor Wilt Chamberlain. And to also, it was something you guys said earlier I want to come back to because I was losing my train of thought. But I do believe Wilt would be afforded by far more luxuries in this era, seeing that the way the style of play has changed drastically. I believe Wilt would be even more dominant today because we haven't seen a physical specimen like him since then. When you hear this,
today's era, I believe, and I don't watch a lot of today's basketball. But am I right in saying that really the mentality of modern players basically mirrors Wilt's mentality early in his career?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see that to a certain extent. I definitely see that. But the thing is, they mirror him, but they cannot.
They can't replicate him.
Yeah, they cannot produce what he was doing because again, you're talking about, and Bill Russell too. You're talking about all world track and field guys, right? You're talking
Yeah.
about guys. Well, I know ran the 100, 200, and I believe the 400. Did high jump, long jump. Bill Russell ran the 400, did high jump and long jump. But when you talk about a guy to get from point A to point B, nobody's going to keep up with Wilt Chamberlain. A 7'2" monster that's running like four fours and 4 3s. That's scary. Like that's scary.
Wilt also won shot put titles.
Hey, wait a minute, Rex. He did the decathlon, didn't he? He was a decathlete, wasn't he?
He did it in high school. I don't think he did the decathlon at Kansas. In the shot put, the only guy that beat him one year was Al Order.
Okay.
Is what I had read one spot. I never fact checked that, but I read that in one article that one track and field season, the only guy to beat Wilt in the shot put was Al Order, who went on to win 4 gold medals in 4 consecutive Olympics for the shot put and is considered the greatest putter ever.
Yeah, and then I also want to add this too. Even when Wilt had retired and Magic came to the league, they said Wilt would go play pickup ball with them in his mid to late 40s and was like getting up and down the court.
Now, wait a second. Now, you're not giving it proper credit. You're saying they.
Well,
it's not they.
No, Magic.
Larry Brown said the story. Larry Brown, okay?
You talking about Coach Larry Brown?
Yes, he's the one that was he was reffing the game.
Okay.
He was the coach at UCLA at the time, and he was reffing the game because it was Wilt and 4 of his freshmen against Magic, Bernard King, AC Green, James
Worthy was there too, wasn't he?
I think that was the summer that James Worthy had broken his leg and missed the finals.
Oh, okay.
I may be wrong on that though. Maybe Worthy is the 5th one, but it was Scott. It was a guard, Byron Scott. Byron Scott. Young AC Green was playing the power forward.
Okay. But yeah,
yep,
I mean, you could. Go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just real fast. On my channel, I know that here. Let me see. Actually, if you're in the chat, and actually for you two, since you have voice on right now, has it moved the entire screen to the left, and you see it says host, and then it has a link. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
I know if you're in the chat, please tell me if you can actually click on that link or not. You don't have to come in the show. Just please try to click on it and let me know, because this is new to me. But because some of the people here are coming from Rex's channel, they can't see the chat from my channel where I'm dropping this, which is unfortunate.
If you're paired, you can't see it. You have to actually go on Darts live to see that.
Yep, they said that they can't click it, so that's again unfortunate. So that's sad. I might have to just put the link in the description section. That's because I think that mirrors the description section. But anyway, not to detract from all of this, but I was just curious. Anyway, what were you saying, Hoop God? I know you started saying something.
No, I was saying that when people try to make these generational comparisons and everything, and I have to tell them, like, you got to factor everything into the equation, because technology only gets moved forward. Technology doesn't go in reverse. And if you take Bill Russell, you take Wilt Chamberlain, as athletically gifted as they were back then, you give them today's modern technology, you give them the training regiments and all these nuanced things that make these athletes better players and I would say more advanced in their field and their endeavor. You're telling, and I always say this, there's no way anybody's going to convince me that Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell afforded all of these luxuries are not going to be 3 to 4 times better than they were back then, because they had no blueprint. Bill Russell, other than George Mikan, they didn't have a lot of guys to say, well, who do I need to pattern my game after? This, that, and the fourth. You know, they didn't get that. They were pretty much being the pioneers of the game themselves. So you look at the guys.
But that's also a level to their greatness.
Right. Because you look at, I want to say somebody.
They may not have been. Run through it in your head. If Wilt grew up now as this huge, super strong, athletic guy, he very well might have had as a role model Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah,
Shaq.
Instead of the guys that he did have as role models who were smaller, more agile centers that played it a different way, so he developed a more finesse game. If he would have grown up now and Shaq had been his hero, he might have just ended up mimicking Shaq and he would have ended up being a lesser player.
Hey, Rex, you just made me think about my point when you said that. It came back to me. So I gotta shout you out for that. What I was gonna say was this. Wilt Chamberlain was shooting threes back then. That's what I forgot. When the games that you said that Larry Brown was officiating, but they like Larry Brown, Magic, and a lot of other Laker players was like, yo, Wilt out there knocking threes down. Like he's like, he's not human. That's they were saying when they saw him play, that's what resonated in their mind. Like, yo, this dude is not human. He's 7'2" out here shooting threes. And like we've already verified that he had the fadeaway shot. And I'm putting it all into context, like you said, putting them in this era, and they're going back looking at other players, like without a doubt, like they would be even better.
Yeah. Well, we brought it up. Me and Dart brought it up on the last podcast. I mean, there's a YouTube video of Wilt hitting 4 hook shots from 3-point distance. Actually, it's beyond 3-point distance. He's off the court. Mm-hmm. And he hits 4 hook shots from off the court in a row. But we're supposed to believe that he would never be able to make a 3-point shot?
Yeah, that's my favorite video of Wilt. If I had to say there's one video that's my favorite, because for me personally, not to bring my immense talent and experience of basketball, but I do a lot of trick shots. So
hey, let them know, Dart.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do is hit 3-point hook shots. So that's my favorite. That's my favorite video, Wilt, because I can do that. I'm not saying as good as him, but I can relatively do it better than probably 99% of people in the world. So with the 3-point hook shot, outside of the pros and amazing players, I can make that shot. So for me, I like it because I can do that shot, and I think it's cool.
But my point is, if you have the ability to do that, you have the ability to just do a set shot from the 3-point line at any particular spot you decide to practice it from, like guys do now. Mm-hmm. I mean, people, like when we mentioned Russell in college, grabbing a rebound, going coast to coast, jumping from less than 2 feet inside the free throw line, jumping over a player just like Vince Carter did, and dropping the ball in the basket. But people act like, oh, well, they couldn't compete today. It's like, dude, he was doing what Vince Carter was doing in 1955.
Hey, Rex, Bill Russell was showing that long jump ability when he pulled off that. I know exactly what you're talking about because I went back and looked at it in real time. I'm like, yo, this dude was a monster, man.
And if you look at where he jumped from, right? Look at where he jumped from on that play in a game. This is in a game. He's dribbling down the court through traffic. And he jumps from just inside the free throw line. And when he's at the basket, he literally can't even extend his arm for the layup. He has to have his arm bent to keep from hitting the backboard.
Yeah.
Don't tell me he couldn't jump from the free throw line and dunk it.
Yeah, if he'd have jumped, if he would have jumped any closer diameter, yeah, he would have hit his head on the right there at the end of that rim. I saw that play. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it just people believe what they're told and what they emotionally can handle. They
That's
don't
true.
believe the truth.
Yeah, that's true. I agree 1,000%. Yep. Because
The only reason I have been able to gather this information from all different types of media for all these decades and incorporate them into what is my quote unquote knowledge is because I don't care. I have no fandom. I got so sick of the game in 1992 when my career was over and was so fed up. I have not cared about basketball since. So I can gather this information unbiasedly and look at all the different films, compare them equally, read the articles of the time, read the witness, testimony, and put it all together and know the stories and know what happened, get the coach's point of view, Russell's point of view, Wilt's point of view, teammates' point of view. You can even read some of the refs' point of view because some of those refs wrote books as well. And you can get everyone's point of view so you understand the situation. I can do that because I don't have a loyalty to any of them or any of it. You can have a player, a fan today saying, "Well, guys back then they couldn't compete today. They weren't as athletic," and you can show him the play of Wilt Chamberlain doing the high jump and the triple jump. You can show him Bill Russell hurdling a guy. You can show these pictures. You can show Gus Johnson breaking backboards, and they'll still deny it, even though they're looking at it because of their fandom.
Hey, Rex, it's called cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. See, I have none of that because I don't care.
The real fast, Denali Gordon has come in here. You promised last time you would come on the live stream. So if you don't come on, I'm just joshing you. But you did say you would come on next time you came here. So but he had asked who would be a better football player, Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Well, LeBron James actually was an all-state football player, so that answers that.
Yeah, I would say it's LeBron. What do you say? Who got LeBron or Michael better football player?
I mean, I would have to give it to LeBron because Jordan he never played in that field.
I got a question for you. I got one for you. Of all the players who have ever played in the NBA, who's the best football player?
Well, there's multiple pro football players that played in the NBA.
Charlie Ward.
Yep. Heisman Trophy winner.
Hey, Rex, when you said that, that's the first guy I thought about because he was the quarterback for Florida State, but he didn't want to play. He didn't want to play football. He went to the NBA.
Well, he can make back then. He could make just as much money, and the NBA was guaranteed. The NFL was not at that time.
And that was smart, quiet as kept.
Well, actually, I guess they still aren't. But
yeah, that doesn't get talked about. That was smart for him to choose the NBA for guaranteed money. That was very smart on his part.
Now, John Havlicek was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Casey Jones was drafted.
Hey, Rex, you teaching me some stuff now. You said Havlicek. What team was he drafted by?
Cleveland.
Okay, and Casey Jones.
He's from Ohio. He's from Ohio. Okay. He's from Martins Ferry, Ohio.
And who drafted? You said Casey Jones?
Yeah, Casey Jones I don't know if he was drafted, but Casey Jones had an NFL tryout because he's still his college's all-time leading rusher.
Yeah, see, I didn't know this. I'm learning something. See.
Well, there's a caveat with that is USF does not have a football team anymore. They discontinued it in the 90s. But when they discontinued it, Casey Jones was still the record holder for most yards in a season.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Now, the guy that asked about better football player. Now, Dart, if I can pivot, I think Jordan's a better athlete than LeBron because Jordan ran a 4.3 in the 40. His vertical leap is higher.
That is not actually true.
In the 40?
That story, he's never actually ran a timed 40. That story cannot be verified. That story came about when Roy Williams was being interviewed, sitting in a golf cart on the golf course, the day after Michael Jordan donated $100 million to the University of North Carolina. And then he comes out with a story saying, well, when I went to see Jordan in high school, we went out to the track and I checked his 40 time and it was a 4.28. I have asked Jordan's high school coach, Pop Herring, who is now deceased. I asked Pop Herring about that, and he said he was not there. He never witnessed it. And he was obviously there because the rules at that time were when the college coach came to visit a player and you were on campus, the high school coach had to be there as chaperone. And he said it didn't happen.
Real fast, because I thought Michael Jordan never did any philanthropy, because that's an argument. That's some LeBron James fans, that he never does anything for the community or anybody.
I live in Wilmington. I live in Wilmington. He gave $100 million to UNC. He gave $50 million to Black Lives Matter. He gave, I believe it was $1 or $10 million to Laney High School. He has paid for all of the boys and girls clubs in this city.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he doesn't do anything for anybody, though.
He doesn't advertise it. But if you're here, it's known. It's in the newspaper. It's on the local news. It's just not splashed about. Like, what did I say? Why are people starting to believe now that Scottie Pippen had such a bigger role? Because Scottie is talking and Jordan is not.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I just cattily wanted to put that out.
Yeah, there. I didn't realize you were being sarcastic there at first. I thought you were actually making that question, and it just blew my mind because it's he has given. I don't even know the actual number, but he has given insane amounts.
Yeah.
No, Jordan just doesn't. He doesn't look for self-aggrandizing. He's not out there sitting on a podium saying, "Hey, look at me, I did this," because there's a quote, in a famous.
He does the exact opposite.
Right. In a famous book that says, when you do things, you do things out the kindness of your heart and the sincerity of your heart. Granted, if somebody else publicize it, that's their business. But if you are out there trying to gain attention for yourself, then your intentions aren't true. So that's why I respect Michael Jordan. He was never looking for the fame and the glory of, oh, look what I did. Like, come on, man, what are we talking about?
Yeah, it's just not. That's what I mean. If you just take in all of the information unbiasedly, without cognitive dissonance, then you really you understand more what's going on. Like I just heard again today on another channel, someone blaming Krause for the breakup of the Bulls. It's like, how many times are we going to hear this? Krause broke up nothing. You honestly think the manager of a company is going to break up the number one company in the world without the owner having to say so?
No, I always say that's Jerry Reinsdorf. You can't blame Jerry Krause, because you have, at the end of the day,
but the casuals do. The casuals do.
No,
Rex,
look what they did to his radio.
Yeah, no, Rex, I'm with you there, but I always have to speak on that and interject, because it's like Jerry Krause, the only power he has is what Reinsdorf gives him. If Reinsdorf comes in there and says, no, we're not going to break this team up, the team stays intact. So no, I never let Reinsdorf off the hook for that. So no, Jerry Krause, a phenomenal GM, had an eye for talent. Yeah, him and Jordan didn't see eye to eye, but even still, his contributions cannot be put on the back burner, because without him, they do not get that dynasty because you do have to get those pieces to come together and play as a unit. So no, that's Reinsdorf. That's his mishap.
Yeah, well, and this is another problem with fandom is they sit there and they see Krause as below Jordan, and he's not. He's above Jordan, and that's what him and Jordan didn't see eye to eye because they're not supposed to. Jordan was not at his level. This guy was running the organization. It's Jordan's job essentially to shut up and dribble, play the game. Jordan didn't know how to do trades. He's proven that. Jordan didn't know how to assemble a team. He's proven that. Jordan doesn't know how to work with contracts and incentives and clauses. He's proven that as an owner. He can't do it. He doesn't understand it. He always got mad at Krause, but guess what? Krause is the one that built a championship team. Jordan couldn't. Jordan was a great player.
That is the epitome of irony. He lambasted Jerry Krause, and now I have to be honest, man. I mean, when it comes to being the manager and assembling players, nah, he ain't on that level with Jerry Krause.
No, and that's why he and Krause never saw eye to eye, because Krause knew how to build the team. Him and Reinsdorf had a plan, and they were going about it. At times, they made decisions that Jordan, as the number one player, didn't like. Well, guess what? You're a player. It's not your decision. Your job is to play, not to build a team. Just like Krause couldn't go out on the court and play basketball, Jordan couldn't go upstairs and run the organization. Yeah, they had different jobs.
Yeah, to echo that point, I know when they made the trade, when they traded away Charles Oakley, Jordan was upset about that because essentially Oakley was his enforcer. But they got Bill Cartwright, who could defend the other team's centers. Because
exactly.
Again,
the argument there.
Bill Cartwright was the enforcer. No, I'm just kidding.
Jordan didn't like it because Oakley was his friend, and that's why he fails at these things, because he depends on friends.
Yeah.
Krause was hated. You know, another way of saying someone is hated. It means they have no friends. The reason Krause had no friends in the organization is because it was his job. If you've ever seen Moneyball, it was his job to cut players, to trade players, get rid of players. That was his job. You can't be friends and do that job. Jordan was friends with Oakley, so he didn't like the fact that Oakley got traded. But that was actually one of the best things that happened to the progression as a team, because you can get another enforcer off the street.
Yeah,
but you can't get a 7-1 center that hits free throws and plays defense.
Now, what I do like about Krause, and he's on record of saying that Jordan never came to him, asking for superstar teammates and all this. Like, he never did that. And that's one thing I always liked to Jerry Krause. Even though him and Jordan didn't see eye to eye, he always told the truth on that story. He was like, mainly because Jordan thought he was so darn good. But I'm like, wow. So you're telling me one guy wanted to beat all the top superstars, another guy wants to join all the top superstars.
Well,
LeBron James of the world.
Hey, I didn't say anything, Dart. I didn't say anything.
That's because the NBA has gotten too big. The NBA has gotten too big, and then these guys are all friends because they're isolated even more. When you're making $2 million, when you're making $2 million a year, you're a certain social. You're in a certain social spectrum, right?
Yep.
When you're making generational wealth and you have $250 million contract, you're in an isolated. You just can't hang out on the street, right? When you're worth $300 million, $500 million, you just can't go hang out on the street. Okay, guys, back in the day, 40 years ago, they were famous. They signed autographs. They did commercials, but they weren't in that spectrum. They were still in a social spectrum. You could see them out. They would be out and about. now they almost have to be isolated from the masses because they're at that level of fame and that level of money. What that brings, the result of that, guys today are friends because you can only hang out with guys in your same financial spectrum. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why all the rich elites hang out with all the rich elites. You never see them down at the Waffle House. Okay, there's a reason.
You are the company you keep.
Yes. So these days where they're isolated because they now are generationally wealthy millionaires that play sports, they're all friends. Friends want to play together. Okay? Back in the day, it was a brotherhood. Okay? And you want to beat your brother. Do you guys have brothers?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I'm the only child, so I can't relate.
Okay. You want to play with your friends. You want to beat your brother. Your number one competition in life is your brother.
Hey, I wanted to beat my friends too. Now, if we were on different teams, I did not want them to win. Like, nope, I want to beat you.
Yeah, Rex is talking about like it's a different, it's like a core emotional level where you want to be better for your, so your parents look at you. I'm not going to go down the like psychological aspects of this, but there's just a core
for sure
difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's back then it was a brotherhood. When you saw another NBA player, especially when you had all-time greats, when you had Larry and Magic, they hated each other at first. Then they do the commercial together and they realize they're a lot more alike. And they form that really tight bond. They were like brothers. But they weren't like, man, we should join together on a team. Wouldn't that be great? No, they were like brothers. They're like, man, we're friends and we're great during the off season and we'll hang out off the court. But when my team plays your team, man, I'm going to come at you. Yep. And it was fun. It was what basketball is supposed to be. It was competition. Now the competition is secondary. People are talking about all the 60 and 70-point games over the last week. There's been 4. Half of those, everyone knows the games, right? You know Embiid scored 70. You know Doncic scored 73. You know what's his name for Phoenix scored 62. You know what's his name up in Minnesota scored 62. But do you know who won and who lost? Because 2 of those guys won, 2 of those guys lost.
Yeah.
You don't even know. You only look at the individual stat point score. That's all you're looking at. Back in the day, yeah, great. You scored 39. Yeah, great. You scored 60. Oh my God, that's great. Okay. Who won? That's what you worried about.
Hey, Rex, hold on. Let me quote Herm Edwards, his famous rant. Y'all hear me?
Dude, yeah, I've quoted that more times than anybody. Yeah, I've quoted that more times than anybody on earth.
Real fast. Welcome, DC Slim. How you doing today? Welcome back.
What's up, fellas? What it do? How y'all feeling, man?
What up, bro? Ham? Getting ready for these NFL playoff games. I'm chopping it up on Wilt and Bill right now.
Hey, Chiefs Niners for the Super Bowl.
Probably.
Yeah. Hey, I hear y'all in here talking about MJ, man. Y'all forgetting about Mr. Bean, man. You know I'm here to start a war real quick.
Oh no, we can't forget about Kobe, man. It's his year. It's 2024.
Okay.
Kobe year.
Hey, I do agree with the old head said about Jerry Krause and Jordan, man. I think, like, I wouldn't say like shut up and dribble, but I'll say player versus businessman. I would say though, Jordan had a lot of input if he wanted to, but it's a lot of ways to look at that. You know what I'm saying? That's a tricky situation right there. That's hard. Now I think they did his wife dirty though. They did his wife real dirty.
Yeah.
Hey, Slim. Rex ain't old. Rex a young man. He a young man.
Real fast with that. I don't. So I not to speak for Rex, and I'm sure he will speak for himself in a moment, but I don't think when he's talking about the Reinsdorf situation that Jordan that he had absolutely like that they wouldn't even hear him. It just wasn't his decision. I think that's the point.
Oh no, no,
Wasn't his
I'm cool with
job.
that. No, I
It
ain't take
wasn't
I ain't
his
take that.
job. And
I ain't
by
take
the
none of that
bylaws
personal.
of the NBA, if you know the business and you
Yeah.
if you read the CBA, if you read the charter, if you understand the business side, a player cannot make managerial decisions in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
So
well,
saying,
I
well,
was.
Jordan had
I'll,
input. No, he didn't. He could not legally
I'll
make
say.
any change, anything.
I'll say this. I agree with you to a certain extent where I can say the businessman can ask the player some information, intel, if that's a pretty word. Now, I agree with you to a certain extent, but I wouldn't say that a player can't. Now, business wise, on paper, we might get sued if that happened, but I can say that a lot of owners do come down and say, how is this guy? Do you think I should get this guy? Not saying
All
that
right, you're
they'll go
proving
with
my
it.
point. You're proving my point.
No, no. So
The
we agree.
owner,
We agree.
the owner has to go ask the player, and he has 100% discretion as to what he asks, when he asks, and how much of it he's going to take in.
No,
The
no.
player
I
has
agree.
no hand in this. None.
I mean, I think to say no hand, I just think it's on the discretion of which team you referring to.
No, because
Sometimes
they
an
all have the
owner
same
might
charter.
say.
They all have the same rules. They all play by the same rules.
So Rex, let me ask you this question. So are you saying no owner ever in history ever said, "Hey, Mike, what do you think about this guy?"
That's not what I said. That's what you wanted to hear.
No, no. I'm asking you that. I know. I'm asking you. I'm not saying that's what you said. I'm asking you. Just give me an example because you're saying 100%. But I understand in the business
Because it
wise
is
what you're saying.
100%.
Well,
No
100% would
player,
mean
no player in the history of the NBA has ever made a managerial decision. Ever.
okay.
Ever,
I
ever,
agree
ever,
with you
ever,
on that.
ever.
But I do like so even when I speak in like LeBron's Lance Armstrong James, right? I do think he
And
got
so,
input. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say that he makes the
no, he
final
doesn't.
call.
No, that's what I'm saying. His input is dependent on management, how much they want to listen.
Well,
If
no,
they
no,
don't
I
want
agree.
to listen, he has no input.
No, no, I agree.
The
But I do
decision
think
is 100% with management because that is how the law and that is how the rules are written. And
no, no.
Jordan was not special. That's what Krause
Ooh.
kept trying to tell him. When it
So
comes to running the team, I do it. You don't know what
okay,
you're talking about. And he
okay. So
didn't. That's been
I
proven.
don't, we ain't got to drag this out, but let's just agree to disagree on this.
Well, no,
I
I'll agree to understand the wording of the law, and you can agree what your fandom tells you to agree.
Oh my
hold
god.
up, fandom. Good, that was a good try. Okay, check this out. Listen, I'm a great listener, and we can play wordplay games. Watch this right here. You saying of the
Okay.
law? I'm agreeing with you on the law. Law wise, yes. I think when it comes out, when the media hears, they'll say GM made call. But to say that not one player ever in history in the NBA has given major input, key
I
word
didn't say
is
that.
major input.
I didn't
Okay,
say that.
so that's
Once
that's
again,
where we
you say
disagree.
wordplay, you're not listening.
Hey,
No,
Slim,
I
let me
mean
rap
we
when
It's
he
not a
finished.
player's job. A player cannot make
okay.
the decision. It's not his job.
All right, you got it. You win.
No,
I got you
no,
on that.
no, no player ever showed up on another team and said, who you want to say, Brad Sellers, pick one. Didn't or Oakley didn't show up at the Knicks practice facility knocking on the door and say, "Hey, Mike just traded me. Let me in. I'm a Knick
Did
now."
LeBron do that with Miami?
No,
Did LeBron
because
help
it's against
select
the
his
rules. It's
players?
against the law. A player cannot make management decisions. It has to be done by a manager. I don't know why
So
y'all are arguing this. We're wasting
that's
time.
why we
This
don't
is so
that's why we
obvious.
don't like him to this day. The reason why we don't like LeBron to this day is because he has input.
Hey,
No, he doesn't.
Slim, let me wrap when you finish.
He's
I
allowed to
know.
have input.
No, you good. I'm good. Don't ain't nothing. I'm good. Y'all good on that. I got you.
He's
Okay.
allowed to have input. That's not the
So
same as having input.
so this is what I realized when we were talking about like player input and however people. I'm not saying y'all. I'm just saying in general. However you want to label it. Now I do know for sure that when Kobe went up against Ron Artest in that playoff game, Kobe verbatim said, "Phil, go get Ron. I need a dog like that." When Kobe went up against Matt Barnes and he did the pump fake him at the ball, and Kobe didn't even blink. Like when they were like, Kobe didn't even blink, like let alone flinch. He was like, "Go get Matt Barnes." Now that's on record. Nobody's ever refuted that. And Kobe said this on All the Smoke podcast because he knew. He said, "I don't want a guy that comes up to me and says, 'Oh, Kobe Bryant, I'm your biggest fan,' blah blah blah." No, I don't need that because I need guys that are gonna go at me because I need dogs in this Western Conference. That's why they came to the Lakers. Now, I'm not saying that Kobe was the end all be all. However, he told Phil to get it done. Phil went and got him. Now we know
No, he
LeBron.
didn't. You're wrong. You're completely wrong.
Who went and got him?
Completely.
Who went and got him? Tell me.
The GM got him. Kubchak. Phil
So
did.
wait,
Phil did not make those decisions.
So wait. So did
All right,
Phil
y'all
not
need to
carry?
understand how the business works.
Hold on,
That is not
Rex.
how it works.
Hold on, Rex. Hold
Kobe
on.
can say, "Hey, go get him." That
Did
doesn't
Phil
make it
not?
happen.
Hold
The
on, Rex.
GM has to
Rex,
do it.
hold
There are
on.
legal papers that have to be signed.
Did Phil not? Did he not carry that message from Kobe?
All right, y'all just need to learn the words and what they mean. Okay?
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Rex,
Hold
it's
on.
a
Wait,
simple
let
question,
me
man.
interject. Let me interject real quick.
Because you're arguing something that isn't what I said.
Hold on.
Either argue
Let me
what I
interject.
said or move on.
Can I
Okay,
just
look.
let me just jump in real fast. Rex is simply saying that the action to make the decisions and the movement of players comes from the GM. That's all he's simply saying.
Oh no,
And
I'm agreeing with him on that. I'm not disagreeing with you on that, Rex. We are together on that.
Then
My
why are we
point is,
continuing with this?
no. The conversation we're having is not legally. The conversation is when the owner is sitting in the locker room with a specific player, and specific player says, maybe you should take a look at this guy. He would help us. Not saying the GM would do it, execute it, or however, but it is put in his mind because a GM couldn't tell you if each player, he couldn't tell you all of that. He would need some intel from a player, no matter who you name. That goes
It
back to what we're
depends.
saying about the 10 man today. The 10 man
True.
has input in all of
He only has
his
He
no.
said 10 man. That's a
Once
good one.
again,
Yo,
you
10
don't
man.
understand how it works.
He didn't say I think
You're sitting there blaming. I assume you're talking about LeBron. You're
oh
sitting there
that's a dry
blaming
call.
LeBron. You're blaming LeBron for giving input, but then you're sitting here and commending Jordan and Kobe for doing the exact same thing.
No sir.
So
No sir.
make up your mind.
Okay, look. I'm gonna
Because
give it
they
to you
don't
one more
make,
time.
none of the three make the decision. What happens in LA is Jeannie Buss has decided that she's going to listen to
Great
LeBron.
word. Has
That is
decided to listen.
entirely her decision. If she said no, I'm not doing it, and LeBron got all upset and started throwing a tantrum, that's all he can do,
That's
because
what
it
he
is
did in
100%
2022.
her
So
decision.
Rex,
at
he
the
did
end of
that
the
in
day,
2022.
we're saying the same thing. I think
Which is
you know
my
when you
point.
say
Why are we arguing? Why are we continuing if we're saying the same thing?
No, Rex, you just verified. He did that in 2022. That's what Slim talking about. He threw a temper tantrum, begging for
yeah
Russell
Okay.
Westbrook. Then he wanted to trade him. This the same
yeah
guy
So
you asked
again,
for.
you're proving my point. So why are we continuing with this?
true
Rex,
good point.
Rex, who is initiating this though? It's LeBron. It's not
No, it's not.
anybody else. Now
No, it's
they
not.
went. Hold on, Rex, hold on, because no, Rob
You
Pelinka
just said
even said
Kobe
this.
did it. Y'all said
Yes,
Mike did it.
Kobe wanted role players. He didn't want superstars. That's not equal.
Okay, hold up. Wait a minute. Hold on, fellas. 1 second. 1 second, fellas. One second. Let me say this. I think the
I
I
can't
think the
handle
choice
fans.
the choice of words we using, all right, is kind of messing this up. So instead of saying Kobe initiated, I wouldn't say Kobe initiated anything. I would say the word input. Input is very important here because
I
input
can
is
agree with
just
that.
the owner just sitting here after a game having a conversation with me after we lost 15 in a row. Now, I'm not saying that that guy does it because we had this conversation. I am saying that when the owner makes that decision, he'll take into consideration what I said to him after the game when we lost 15. Now I'm
That is
agreeing
up
with
to
you,
the
Rex.
owner. That is
Oh, now,
100% up to the owner.
but we all know. I mean, that's not rocket
Evidently,
science.
most fans don't know. Evidently, most don't know.
I don't think people. I think people do know, but I don't think people would explain it the way in depth that we are. Because when you're just having a random conversation with somebody and you don't like LeBron's Lance Armstrong James, you'll say he had input. You won't say he called the final shot. Because at the end of the day, It's looking like Jeannie and her brother is not listening to him right now, and I'm happy for that. Okay,
No, they aren't
so
because he got a circus show out there.
exactly, and I think they
Because that's what
realize.
happens when you listen to players.
But I would disagree on that. As much as I don't like the Tin Man, I can say he is good for business. See, about 4 or 5 years ago, he could pull this off. To say that he didn't have anything to do with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh all coming together, that's strong. I actually believe all three of those guys sat back
They
and
did in the
came
2008
up with
Olympics.
some.
Yeah,
They
2008
presented
Olympics.
something to the owner that was a now let's not think of fandom. Let's think of a good business deal. They knew they was gonna come up off of that. That's the reason why they had the shit show all over it in the beginning. Not one, not 30, not 50, all of that. So at the end of the day, as much as I don't like the Tin Man, great for business. But
And
right now,
he's a great politician too. Don't forget that.
yes, my motto with him is it's easy to fool a man, but it's hard to convince him that he's been fooled. That is how I feel about LeBron's Lance Armstrong James, fellas. You know what I'm saying? But
Bro,
Rex, I'm with you. I'm with you though, Rex. I'm not disagreeing with you in no point. I think we all just presenting it in different forms. You know what I'm saying? But I got you, Rex. I'm with you.
Travis, welcome, Travis. How you doing today?
What's up, gentlemen?
oh,
The
not too
heck?
much, man.
All right, so well, actually, us, DC Slim and Travis, who do you guys pick in between Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell? Who do you think is a greater player?
I'm going Wilt.
All right, and
And
as Travis, real fast, and then you can explain why, DC.
I mean, greater. I'd probably say if we're just talking about all around, I'd say Wilt.
All right, why do you guys say that, DC? You can start.
well, I say Wilt is. I got him in my top five most all around athletics. I mean, he can do pretty much anything on the court. I don't. I'm not a fan of big men. Pause. Uh, I'm not a fan of the centers and the giant forwards because I think they can take advantage of people and they don't have to work as hard as smaller guys. That's one of the reasons why Joe Jordan is great because of what he did to bigger people. So I would say Wilt just because of style. Russell, as great as he was kind of I don't want to use the word boring, but he was not as shiny as Wilt.
All right, what about you, Travis?
Uh,
And before you go, you were the guys that we needed earlier because we were the other two guys that were going to come on and argue Wilt. It had personal stuff going on, so they had to cancel last minute. But we needed this because Rex was arguing for Wilt and he doesn't believe Wilt's greater. So you guys do apparently. Anyway, Travis, why?
I mean, just because. I mean, if you're looking at it from just a pure domination endpoint, like Wilt was transcendent offensively. Maybe because he was such a huge mismatch and everything else, but he was going to be that guy who's going to give you 30. He was going to give you at least as many rebounds. He was, I would say, arguably just as good defensively, especially in his very peak years. Now, it just, the only thing is, he wasn't necessarily like the winner because, as we talked about earlier the other day, um, Bill was much more of the team-minded mindset, or the team. I want to get my teammates involved a little bit more. More apt to go to. So I mean, he was just more of like he fit into their system a little bit more easy, or a little bit easier than what you would have seen Will do. Will didn't do that till later, but I'm just like from a pure dominant standpoint, basketball player, it's hard not to say Wilt.
Okay. Hoop God, before I are you guys okay with discussing who's greater at this point, or no?
Oh
DC
yeah.
and Travis.
It's some
Are you
points
guys
I want to.
open to that, or?
Yeah, I want to address some of these points.
Not trying. If you guys don't want to, I'm not trying to drag you into it. I'm just saying.
Oh, you
that
talking about you talking about
Wilt
who's greater
versus
between
Russell.
Jordan and Kobe? Oh, sorry.
No.
Shout out to Bean, man. 2024.
Yeah. Travis is a Kobe guy too. So,
Yeah.
but are you guys good to hear what Hoop got us to say why Russell's greater?
Yeah.
All right.
Uh-oh. It's gonna be some politics in there.
Oh no. So when we say the greater player, right now, again, I said this earlier, which I'll go ahead and say it again. When you look on the stat sheet, you don't know anything about basketball, and you have somebody telling you, "Hey, this player averaged this many points. He had a season where he scored 50 points. Nobody else did that, right?" You're going to look at Russell, who had a mediocre 18 points per game. You're going to be like, this is not even a comparison, right? Right. Now, when you start to go into detail, when you start to get a little bit more in depth, and you see that in Wilt Chamberlain's 1962 season, he never scored 50 points on Bill Russell. Not one game did he have 50 points. Now, again, it's remarkable, however, but the guy you're going up against was able to nullify you and hold you off from those statistical outputs. To me, that's the separator. When you get to that point, then you move on to, okay, we know this guy has to dominate the ball because he's not necessarily as transcendent in being a team player, being able to dominate without the ball. Because I heard, I don't think one of you guys said it, but Wilt Chamberlain's freakish athleticism. It's great, but are you utilizing it to benefit the team or benefit yourself? This is what I'm talking about.
Whoa.
Wilt Chamberlain would customarily block the shot into the stands or just, like to exude his force. Cool. Russell would block the shot and knock it to a teammate. Basketball IQ. Rather than blocking the shot out of bounds, giving the possession back to your opponent, Bill Russell would block the shot, keep it in bounds, knock it to a teammate so they could go down there and get points off of their possession that they just took from that team. That's the separator for me. And as I said earlier, I'll say it again. Wilt Chamberlain put up all the great numbers. Yes, he did. However, he did not start winning until he started playing more like Bill Russell, meaning sacrificing his points and focusing more on the team aspect, because in both his championship runs, he never led the team in scoring.
Oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be real easy right here. Okay, so let's do this. Opinions and facts are not the same. World, got to understand that. All right, no disrespect to your point, but I'm going to take shots at your point. You named off a lot of basic stuff. I said in the beginning, one is more shinier than the other one. I'm not saying Wilt Chamberlain is not big time, not box office, not all of the above. At the end of the day, the car with the wheels on it, with the rims on it, look better than the basic one. Throw a shade of tint. They might. So let's just say let's take two Lamborghinis. If one is just plain red with no tinted windows and no wheels, it's basic. It's nice though. It's top of the line. But when you put some wheels and some tinted windows on there, I think the majority of the people gonna go with that. That's no knock to Wilt. And see, that's what's wrong with people in sports today. Just because somebody might be slightly better, that's not disrespect. You know what I'm saying? That's why they need to make 3 or 4 Hall of Fames. First Hall of Fame is like Mike, Brady, Kobe. In order to get in this one, you can't lose more than 2 or 1. The second one you can lose 2 and 3. I think that's how we should start doing it. But at the end of the day, that's no shot.
LeBron
To the
ain't gonna make
beast.
it.
No, LeBron is in house 7. I mean, excuse me, the 10 man. I should not call it as $5 to the 5. Okay. Yes, sir.
Rex, do you have anything to say, or I got a couple one-liners, but Rex, do you have anything to retort, DC Slim?
I so much and at the same time so little.
Come on, Rex. Don't do that. Don't do that, Rex. Don't
Okay,
let us down. Come on.
first of all, talking about the Hall of Fame, it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Winning or the Hall of Superstars. It's the Hall of Fame. That's
Hey
what it's
Rex,
called.
before you say something,
There
hey
are
Rex,
guys in
let
the
me
Hall
ask
of
you this
Fame that
question.
didn't even play. Okay.
Hey Rex, listen, before you go, let me ask you this. Do you think somebody who just made it into the Hall of Fame name should be in the same square as Michael Jordan?
Yes, because that's literally what the Hall of Fame is. If you
Okay.
don't think that way, then don't put them in the Hall of Fame.
No, I get what
Okay.
he's saying.
It's that
The
easy.
Basketball Hall of Fame, not the NBA. I get that.
Well,
So,
it's no NBA Hall of Fame, fellas.
D-
There
Just
is no
hey,
remember
there
that.
is no NBA Hall of Fame. Exactly.
DC, let Rex say his
My
point
bad,
about
Rex. My bad, Rex.
I mean, we've kind of gone all over. I didn't understand the whole thing about the rims and the red car.
No, Rex, I want to speak on that when he finished.
Yeah, because I mean, if we're talking about Lamborghinis and all that, you can make it freaking poop brown. I don't care. What's the engine do?
That was my
Poop
No.
Brown,
point.
it was
Yeah.
red.
What's
he
the
took
engine
my
do? I
line.
don't care what color it is.
Took my line.
Look, it comes down. Bill Russell, his greatest attribute was from the beginning. He didn't have to be taught. He knew from day one, coming to Oakland from Monroe, Louisiana, son of a sharecropper who got a job in a manufacturing plant. First day on the court, he understood how to contribute without having developed any ball skills yet. He
There's the
understood
politics.
the game. He understood that there's 5 players and 1 ball.
Wilt didn't know that either, huh?
He understood how to play without the ball, which is most of the time. Okay? He knew it from the beginning. He didn't have to be taught. He knew it. When he goes to college, they dominate from the beginning because he understood already how to play the game, how to adjust to his teammates, how to fill the gaps in the talent.
Wow.
He goes to the NBA. He does the same thing. He played differently in 56. He didn't get as many assists. He has the 3rd highest assist average ever for a center. He did not get those when Bob Cousy was there because he didn't need to. He played a different role. Cousy retires. He takes on more of an assist role. He ends up being second. He was second on the team in assists one year, but 5th in the league.
Wow.
He averaged more assists in 1966 than Lenny Wilkins, the Hall of Fame point guard. Okay? Because that's what the team needed.
Rex.
He led the team in playoff scoring in 66, I believe, at 23.8 a game. Because that's what the team needed that time. He understood from the beginning, he understood the game, and he understood people. And he understood how to intimidate the competition. He found out, he realized that players back in that time, it was a social thing, not a basketball thing. When Malcolm X.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I know it was coming.
When Malcolm X started being seen as a villain by society, white society, he had a Fu Manchu mustache, and he made into the goatee. Goatees were not popular at the time. Bill Russell grew one to intimidate the competition, and it worked. He looked meaner. He acted meaner. He spoke meaner. He intimidated players. He talked trash. He didn't
Okay,
talk
I can't take
trash.
it no more, Rex. I can't take it no more. All right, look, hold on. Wait a minute.
Okay.
I will show you something. That is what LeBron James fans do when they talk about him.
Dude, don't even get it. All right.
No,
Just don't
I wouldn't
even
even.
don't even
Yeah,
try to go
Listen,
there.
listen, hold on.
yeah, I
Listen to
wouldn't.
this.
Yeah, I
This is
wouldn't. I
from
How
wouldn't
Bill
about
do that.
this?
Russell's book. So
Hold
talk to
on,
him
hold on.
about it.
Let me show you a great rebuttal here. What I'm saying, we asked a basketball question. This is why I hate sports today. Okay, you went from him being a loner, his philanthropy, Malcolm X. So you went politics on 70% of what you were saying, and
I
it's
didn't go
nothing.
politics.
I
I
mean,
went physical appearance. You went
well,
politics.
well, the way you explained it was Wilt Chamberlain is clueless. He just didn't know how to play basketball at
Did
all.
I say
But
Wilt
this
Chamberlain?
guy,
Hey, Dart, run
you
this
No,
back
used
and
those
show me
words.
where I said Wilt Chamberlain is clueless. Because I could
No,
have
you
swore
didn't.
I'm
No, you
arguing
didn't.
for Wilt Chamberlain in
No,
this.
no, you didn't.
You,
Listen,
you
look.
never said he was clueless.
No,
no, he
he
didn't say
never
Okay,
that.
used the word clueless. He
then
didn't
don't put
say
it in my
clueless.
mouth.
But let me show
Don't
you
put
how
it in
you
my
say.
mouth then.
Let me
No,
show
but
you. Let me
Slim.
show you how you made him
No,
look clueless. You
no, Slim.
said.
That's
You
a
said
straw man
this
though, bro.
guy Russell. No, hold on. Well, let me show you. Let me give you an
He
example.
used mental intimidation on the court as a weapon. That's
Did
what
Wilt
he
That's what he
did.
Chamberlain do
said.
the
He
same?
said he did. I haven't gotten to Wilt yet, have I?
Oh, okay. Just make sure you say the
No,
same amount of stuff for Wilt.
Don't tell me
D,
what to say.
DC, let Rex finish his point, and then Travis, if you have something to say to rebut Rex, you
I
got
apologize,
you got
fellas.
the
That
you
the
got the spot.
politics in basketball is a killer.
No, to be fair, he didn't bring no politics though. He just made an example on the court.
Bill Russell said, okay, I made nothing, I said nothing. I'm quoting his book of what he said he did to mentally intimidate his opponents. If you have a problem with it, I suggest
I
you
didn't.
take it up with the great Bill Russell.
I didn't say I have a problem
Don't
with that.
argue with me about what he said.
No, you're missing my point, Rex. I'm
No, you're
saying we're
missing my
talking
entire
basketball.
point.
You said Malcolm X. What does Malcolm X
And you
have
got
to do
triggered.
with Rex
And
with
you
Bill
got
Russell's
triggered.
basketball?
DC,
Okay,
let
you know
Rex finish.
what? You're right. I'm
Let
done.
Hold on, let me
uh,
interject, Dart. Let me interject, Dart. What he's saying is he
That ain't
took the
cool
he
right there.
no, hold on. Let me interject. He took the appearance. Nowhere did he say, well, Bill Russell did this to stand up for social justice. He never said that. He said he
Oh,
took an
no,
appearance.
just
An
by
appearance. Hold
mentioning
on.
Malcolm X. The
I know, hold on
question
though.
was,
Hold on, Slim,
we
hold on.
forgot the question. What
Slim,
makes
let me
him better as a player,
Slim, let
right?
me finish. You didn't allow him to finish his point when he said that he took the look of Malcolm X to intimidate players on the court. Everything he said is correlating with basketball. So you have to let him finish first. That's all I'm saying, bro.
Correlating with basketball, okay? The word IQ correlating with basketball. It's a lot of words that need to be disregarded from sports. Okay. Now, look, man. I'm here for the sports. I to judge Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell and say Malcolm X and a goatee. Come on, man. We know Wilt Chamberlain was an animal. All right. To make it look like look to the point I was just making the point. Both of them great. One has a more fancier game than the other.
Travis, what's your take? I know Rex ended up leaving a little early. He seemed to have he for I don't have to say why, but what do you have a response to what Rex was saying in respect to into the argument of who's greater?
Well, I mean, everyone has their own, like I said, and Rex is no different. Everyone has their own criteria when they're looking at a player as to why they think he was greater and why what kind of led into that. And that's Rex's. Rex deals with a lot of the mental side of it, which is great. Maybe how they got hyped up for the games. I think that's why he brought up the example of the book he's reading and things like that. But I mean, it's fair. I tend to like stick like more closely to the actual production on the court. And the reason why Wilt's better is because, I mean, not even from it, but if you have a guy out there who's going to give you 38 and 20 on 54% shooting, then you have to come up with, as opposing team, we're anxious for that. And they really didn't have to deal with that for Bill. Bill was fantastic defensively, yes, great team leader, 100%. But he also had far superior teams around him for the most part, statistically, analytically.
Good point.
As far as was he a great facility? Sure, but he also didn't have the same load that to have to deal with on a night-to-night basis that Wilt Chamberlain had. Wilt Chamberlain was, by a clear cut, the best offensive player, and he had to be, and he was also the best defensive player in every single one of his teams too. And so, again, did that translate to as much success as Bill Russell had? No, but if you're just going to say, well, I'm going to dismiss all of his other points and we're going to ignore the production because I think mentally Bill Russell is better, then I don't think it's a strong argument. You go with, you can apply that logic to this, like, two players to get your desired result, like up and down history. But nothing against Bill Russell. Like I said, he fit perfectly in that system. He did his job to a T, top 5 defender of all time, whatever you want to say about him. The man has a flawless resume, but Wilt Chamberlain was just the more dominant player. Dominant, sure, you can make an argument for better, but I don't think it's close.
All right, I'm going to say something. So one of the things that I never understood is the whole team aspect of it, of that I think the Celtics were a better team, and that's proven because they beat Wilt Chamberlain more amongst everybody else in the league at the time. But to say that the players that were surrounding him were just plainly better, I can name way greater players and more greater players than the guys that Bill Russell played with. I think that most people would not disagree that his 3 or 4 best teammates were Bob Cousy, Sam Jones, John Havlicek, and you could say Heinsohn. You could say I believe Cowens was playing at the last couple of years. The point is that Wilt Chamberlain had guys like Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Gail Goodrich, Hal Greer, Billy Cunningham for multiple teams over a longer period of time. So I never
that's a good point.
No.
I never understood the argument that he just had better players around him. He had a better team, clearly, because they won. But I never
Let me ask you this.
That's all I have to say. You can go. You can go. That's all. That's my main point.
I agree with what you're saying. It's the same way. It's the same way. I think the way I look at Kobe with Shaq, he was averaging high numbers with a great player. So that means he's still great. But at the same time, I think when it comes to judging NBA players, we all know. I'll give you a good example, and I know some of y'all older, you'll remember this. Clyde Drexler and Michael Jordan was kind of doing the same thing, right? Now, don't say I'm comparing them. I'm saying, but they kind of had a similar thing because his name was Clyde the Glide. But the difference was Mike had the palm, the walk. He was just a more shinier item. He was I would say more of a showman. Clyde Drexler was boring. You understand what I'm saying? MJ come down, stick his tongue out, pause. It's stuff like that. Charisma. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and say this. That might be the number one thing that we love about Mike, him and Kobe. Charisma. They just animals. So if you don't show a trait like that, right? Won't nobody really say you. That's one of the reasons why Tim Duncan don't get a lot of love. And they'll say KG, because KG was just more the shinier item. KG wasn't better, he just made it look more exciting.
All right, Hoop God, what do you got to say? You there, Hoop God?
Hey, what was that, Dart? Yeah, okay. What was that, Dart?
No, I was saying, what do you have to say? I don't know if you heard what DC said.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't. Did you hear what DC said?
Yeah. I would say my point to that is because I had to come back to his analogy with the portion and everything. Like Don't get me wrong, dog. I understand you say the glitz and the glam, but I'm more interested in what's under the hood. But to further that point about Bill Russell and Wilt, this is another thing I said earlier too. All of Wilt Chamberlain's teammates are on record of saying he would not adjust himself to the team. They all had to adjust themselves to them, which also segues.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
Hey,
I
look,
never
for
seen a
what he's
team that give
saying,
away more championships than Wilt Chamberlain because he didn't come through in those game sevens where Bill Russell did. Now, in the regular season, Wilt put up phenomenal numbers. Yes, we know this. In the playoffs,
but you
it
know
didn't
what? That's a
translate.
different argument.
So
That is a
when I'm
different
looking at
argument.
who I want on my
DC, please
team,
let him finish.
yes, you do want a guy that can put up big numbers, but can you still do that when the team needs you? And in 1969,
That's tough.
Oh God, you're cutting in and out if you can hear us. All right. Yeah, I don't know if we've lost Soup God, but DC, if you want to say something real fast, and then Travis, you could, or I forget who went last. You were.
It don't
DC.
matter. You can go ahead, Travis. You good? You good?
I mean, it's the same argument, you know. Like it's just who was the most cerebral player that was conducive to winning, and again, that's definitely Bill. You know, as far as there's definitely players who haven't been nearly as dominant as Wilt or any other people that we talk about are in the GOAT argument that maybe were a better fit. You know, that weren't as statistically dominant as maybe the alphas or whatever, but they were just that. Like John Stockton, perfect example.
Oh,
You know,
that's my
he knew
man.
his job, and you know he wasn't ever going to try to go outside of it, and he was dominant statistically in his own way. And again, but he knew that
I
he was
mean,
never going to be that
oh,
guy.
can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Bill Russell. Like I think
Okay,
if you're
okay, I
talking
might
about
have
just
lagged
a
out. My
cerebral
bad.
player who's going to fit in and be that guy, what you need him to be, 100%. And to be honest, that's probably the same guy I'd rather have on my team. But if you're just talking about again, who was going to be able to be more dominant as far as you know what you can't stop him. I can't stop him from doing what he wants on the floor. That's Will. Two different kind of players, sure, but the
Good
question
point.
is who was more dominant, and you cannot say that it wasn't Will Chamberlain.
Hoop God, I know you cut out. You want to finish your point / retort, and then we'll let DC come on. Or are you lagging out again? I hope not. I think he's lagging out again. I guess I'll say my piece with this. So to me, what dominance is, I mean, the question is who's greater, but in respect to who's more dominant, you could obviously, statistically speaking, it's Wilt Chamberlain. That's just a matter of fact. However, dominance, I would hardly say that he's dominant in the game of basketball in regard to his main competition of Bill Russell during the majority of his career. Bill Russell and his team they dominated the league, and that's the point of the game. You play to win the game. That's what dominance is winning 11 NBA championships in 13 seasons, not 2 in, I think Wilt Chamberlain played 14 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. But the point of that is that the dominance that Bill Russell had may not have been on paper, but it carried over in championship trophies. He was more dominant at rebounding than Wilt Chamberlain a couple years because he won the rebounding title over Wilt Chamberlain. That's a matter of fact. So it's to say that Wilt Chamberlain was just clearly more dominant than Bill Russell. I think that's I'm not going to go down that line, but I think it doesn't account for the team success, which is the whole point of playing the game, is to win. And that is dominance 11 out of 13 years. It's the most dominant of all time. I think that's what true dominance is. Anyway, DC.
Well, sure. Oh, sorry.
Okay. What if I said this? All right. What if I said that need to be clarified when you ask the question? Because see, I agree with what you say. All of those points are correct when you judge a player. And I need that same argument to be used with Michael Jordan. All right. So it's a team thing at one point. To me, championships is 60% team, 40% player. Okay. But if we're just judging two people on the court, which one, and I'm going to go back to that word again, looks more fancier? Because I think stats, my grandfather used to say, stats is a pole for a drunk man. It just give him something to lean on. All right. But it's
Yeah,
not
no,
really,
I agree. Yeah.
I'm just saying, eye test has been taken out of the equation, period. Once again, nothing against Bill Russell. He just can't jump higher than Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, look, Jordan is famous from the dunk poster. That is why we buying his shoes. Jordan game, I wouldn't say is. It's a lot of people who game in the NBA is similar to the style of Jordan's. Kobe was the only one to get close to it. But the reason why we picked those two is because they dominate. Wilt Chamberlain dominated as a singular person. Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's why Wilt don't get the credit. To me, he got the LeBron disease. He was kind
Mhm.
of selfish, and it was all. No, I'm saying it was more about me. I have read articles where he just wasn't a likable dude. He had a lot going on. Remember, he was all over Hollywood, the actor and everything. So I can take that. I'm not going to discredit him as a person for that, but I'm just comparing it in that way. Some people can't play together, like the other guy said, but you still can't take away from how they play, though. It's like good example, and I ended with this. Chris Bosh, okay? Chris Bosh was an animal before he played with the 10 man. When he played with the 10 man, and people didn't even pay attention to his stats, he was one of the best players after Wade. He was just called a nobody.
Yeah.
So I had a quick question for you there, Dart.
I can't hear you.
Hoop God, you got a lot of background noise.
So, Dart, here's a question, just a kind of a follow up.
Okay.
So to kind of go back to your point, like I said, I think we're kind of in agreement there. That's why I can't even hear.
Hoop God, I'm gonna mute you for a second.
Hold
Okay.
on, hold on. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to mute. My bad. I'm trying to mute.
Okay, I'll mute you and I'll mute you in a second. Okay.
Okay, so really quick, so what I think we're on the same page. Like how would you build your team? Like, if you had like pieces in place and then you can put them in, and that's great. And you're right. Like dominance is reflected in like your overall resume, which includes rings, things like that. But it like Gentleman also said, it also is way more dependent on the situation you're in, the factors around you, and you can only control that to a certain degree. Like for example, okay, Hakeem Olajuwon was putting up 25 and from 85 until when he started winning 94. Hakeem Olajuwon was putting up monstrous numbers. He was like putting up like 25 points, 14 rebounds. Clearly the best player, top 5 player offensively and defensively for an entire stretch of his career from 85 to 94. But at the same time, he wasn't enjoying that team success because there was flat out better team. For example, Kareem, a shell of himself from basically 85 until he retired in 90, he was still being carried to championships, even though he was averaging like 19 points, 10 boards, and he was just that guy who got a rebound occasionally in the middle while Magic was doing most of the scoring, James Worthy was doing most of the scoring, but he was still benefiting from that team success.
Yes.
Not taking around from his earlier career, which he was dominant, but there's a lot to be said. So Hakeem was clearly the better player in every measurable way you want to do it, but because of the factors around Kareem, he was still winning championships way past his prime, even though he was relatively speaking, a minimal contributing player. And so I think there's a lot to be said from that. Not taking anything away from, like I said, 11 titles. It's insane, but you have to use context when you're just talking about, when you're just trying to dismiss stats entirely, because it is a great measurement of exactly what you bring to the table.
Hoop God, what's your take? I still hear some background noise.
Yeah, let me step outside. Hold on.
Okay.
All right, so bring me up to speed. Where were we at in the discussion?
Travis said that just because in a phrase, just because you don't win doesn't mean you're not great.
Oh yeah, I mean, no, I do agree with that sentiment. Just because you don't win doesn't mean you're not great. I mean, look at John Stockton. I'll never say he's not an all-time great. He just went up against a greater player, just like Wilt Chamberlain went up against a greater player, which is Bill Russell. When it comes to the team aspect, when you're able to, I would like to use this analogy. When you know how a certain player likes to play, right? It's easy to develop a game plan against him because you know where he wants to attack, you know what he likes to do, and you can develop a strategy to nullify him. Prime example. Look at all the elite teams that were able to nullify LeBron. I'm not saying that they shut him down. I'm not saying they locked him up. They nullified it. Look at the Orlando Magic. They didn't even have their best player, which is Jameer Nelson. They still beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Cleveland Cavaliers had all their players, two All-Stars, home court advantage, everything that favors them. They still lost. Look at the Miami Heat of 2011. Shout out to NMB. Y'all go follow my guy. The Mavericks were the underdogs. They had one All-Star, not even superstar at that time, one All-Star against the big three in Miami with three perennial superstars. They beat them. The Miami Heat were clearly the better team. Dallas played a team game and they defeated them. So when we get to Wilt and Russell, once again, Jerry West is on record of saying Wilt would not modify his game to his team. They had to try to modify their game to him. That's not conducive to winning. See, that's conducive to your overall greatness individually. That's fine. If that's your agenda to be individually great, cool. But basketball is a team game. And ultimately, you're supposed to do whatever your team needs you to do in order for the team to thrive and have a formula for winning. Your style of play should be conducive to winning. That's why I'm going to take Bill Russell, because his style of play, his approach, his mentality was all conducive to winning. And I'll say this before I kick it back. A lot of people say that Bill Russell had all the best players and yada, yada, yada. No, I don't believe that, and I never will believe that. Simply because the Celtics couldn't even win a championship before he got there. That's with Bob Cousy. And when he retired, the very next year, y'all go look this up. They were 38-44. Now, my math may not be all the way correct, but I know that's well beyond 5 games below 500. So when these people tell me, oh, no, he did not have the best players, Bill Russell was able to get the best out of them with his unselfish style of play. Because if you look in the 60s, just the 60s alone, when Bill Russell did not play, the Boston Celtics were 7 games under 500. That's showing his impact right there.
Wow.
Hey, Dart, put me on mute because I'm using another software, so I don't know how to mute it while I Slim talking.
Okay.
Hey, look, I'm so tired of this. Your play should be conducive to winning. Look, I'm old, man. I watched Jordan. I am a Laker fan. I hated Jordan back then. I love him today. Jordan was an asshole. His play was not conducive to winning. He kind of formed and forced his team to ride with him. Hey, look, man, I think that's another one of those comments and statements is what make people great. Look, I think Tom Brady and LeBron James are the two most overrated sports players ever. You know why? They never did any winning thing. Adam Vinatieri should get more credit than Tom Brady. Tom Brady has always been a check down quarterback. LeBron James passed the ball in the big game. But they get this great nod and they got this persona about them where people use words like make teammates better. They don't make teammates better. They're not good. They average. So I just when I hear that kind of stuff, once again, that's why I throw that into like the politics. That's politics to me. Because you're picking a side based on if you like them as a person. So that's one of the reasons why people don't like Kobe. That's one of the reasons why I don't like LeBron. I don't like him as a person. But I'll never say he's not a great player. I just won't put him up there with the greats because of how he plays, not him being conducive to winning. That's one of those bogus stats that we pull out the air. I mean, look, sports arguments are getting very difficult these days because I think, like my man said, nobody use context. You know, So it's more arguing than literally debating. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
hey, talking about Slim.
Yeah.
Slim, how was Michael Jordan's style of play not conducive to winning? Because essentially he did have to scale back some of his scoring, but he still was able to lead the team in scoring because he was dominant. He just couldn't score as much as he was
Uh,
doing his first 4 years before they started contending for championships.
Hoop God, let DC finish, and then I do want to address some of the things he said, kind of along those lines. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yep.
I mean, nah, that's all I'm saying. Just to quickly answer what he say. Jordan ain't slow down nothing. Everybody came to Jordan's level. Okay, he didn't stop nothing. If you want to call that conducive to winning, being that's that word again, dominant, alpha, however, whatever
Okay.
kind of word.
Hold on, Slim. Hold on, Slim. He led them in assists too. He wasn't doing that in the beginning. So once he again modified his game, like I said, what Wilt Chamberlain did not do, it led to success. And not only was he doing that, but he was the best defender. Go ask Gary Payton. He's going to tell you Michael Jordan set the tone because
What
for
does
some reason people
modified
give
his
Pippen
game
all his
mean?
credit. Bro, listen to what I'm saying.
No,
You
before you
have
go
to
on,
adjust. Hold
I
on,
gotta
listen.
understand what you're saying. What does modified his game mean? What did Jordan stop
Okay,
doing? I'm not a
okay.
broad
So when I say
statement.
modify, when I say modify your game, you're adjusting to your teammates. You're not making your teammates adjust to you.
Oh, okay.
When you adjust your game to overcompensate, hold on, because you asked, let me
I ain't
finish.
saying
To
nothing. I'm not saying no.
overcompensate for what your okay, so let me finish. For what your teammates are lacking in. Prime example, game 6 of the 98 NBA Finals.
Which one?
Michael Jordan had to outscore his entire team to win that game
Yeah.
because they were struggling. Go look at Jordan's top 3. They
Okay,
got
that's one.
outscored by the Utah Jazz
Okay,
top
that's
3.
one.
Okay,
That's
that's
one.
the point I'm making.
Give me
You
another
have
one.
you hold up.
Give me
Let me.
another one.
Can I finish?
Oh,
May I finish?
I thought you would be able to just randomly name me 10. So you can't just use one
Okay,
and use
okay.
it as a
Okay,
conglomerate.
cool.
Okay.
91 NBA finals. 91 NBA finals. What did the media say? Oh, Michael Jordan can't pass like Magic Johnson. Michael Jordan can blah blah blah. Michael Jordan holds the assist record for most assists in an NBA final series other than a point guard. He
One
holds
series.
that record. So don't tell me he cannot modify his game to be conducive to winning, like I said earlier. But you wanted another one. Let me finish. So let's go to 1996. Scottie Pippen. We know he was struggling, right? He had a bad back, right? Okay,
Politics.
Pip. Hey,
Politics. Here you
bro,
go.
you hampered right now, bro. If you ain't gonna let me finish, what you asking me for?
No,
Anywho, you asked me the
I ain't,
question. I'm
I'm
trying to
not.
finish, but cool.
I'm laughing because, listen, I want to let you finish. But once again,
But bro,
you
you answered
making
me
it
the
look
question,
like
but then you
Jordan.
cutting me off.
You're talking
No,
like
I'm
Jordan
not.
averaged
I'm no,
six
no, no,
assists a
no, no,
game.
no, 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 no,
Jordan ain't
bro.
never
You
averaged
wanted me
four
to
assists a
answer,
game.
bro. You said give you more examples. I'm doing that, but if you
I was being
incrementally cut me off, I
sarcastic. My
can't.
bad,
I
bro.
can't give you. That's cool. So let me finish. Michael Jordan in '96. Go check it up right now. Scottie Pippen was 30. No, he was 34% from the field. Okay. Jordan had to overcompensate. Now, let me give Rodman a little bit of credit because Rodman was a monster on the board. So I'm going to give him credit. But Pippen, his right hand man, was struggling. So you know what Jordan did? He modified his game. He overcompensated on the offensive end for Pippen. Had a bad back. Bro, you tell me how many people won a championship with their second leading player, second, I would say, second option, second leading scorer. Sub 40 from the field. I guarantee it ain't too many, okay? So once again, Michael Jordan displayed he could carry the team when they needed him to. Now, do he need to do that all the time? No, he doesn't. Much like Bill Russell, do he need to do that all the time? No, he doesn't. But when the team needs you to do it, you have to be able to do it. You can't all of a sudden get a phantom injury or something going on in your mental psychosis where you can't come out there and perform for your team. No, I'm not hearing that. Because to me, where I'm from, those are called excuses.
Oh,
And excuses cannot be deposited, okay?
that
So
word.
I don't dwell in those. If you do not get the job done as the best player on your team, you must take responsibility, which is what Wilt Chamberlain never did. Anytime they lost, it was a teammate fault or something happened. I don't know. It's something over here. I didn't have enough money. I don't want to hear that. Did you win? Did you lose? Bill Russell, 7-1 versus him in the playoffs. Don't tell me Bill Russell had the better team based off the record now. That's hindsight, okay? Bill Russell was able to play a team game and it produced more wins because at the end of the day, quote the famous Herm Edwards, you play to win the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, I give you some closing arguments with what you said, and I'll just leave it right here. Okay.
Yeah, but after this, I'm gonna stop the show if you guys want to shout
Yeah.
anybody out after that. But I gotta get
Yeah. I'm
going.
sorry, fellas. I give it to you like this. I have seen weird Kobe fans, Jordan fans, and LeBron fans. Let me tell you what I'm learning in this. When you are arguing your favorite person, you only use your only examples, and you only use the best ones. And don't forget that. You make it look like, here's another word that I'm gonna add to it. They're compensating. Jordan ain't never averaged 5 assists a game. Jordan has always been the dominant person on that team. It's I we can't just keep saying Jordan is Jordan ain't no leader. Stop trying to attach that word to Jordan. If you want to say Jordan was leading by example, I'll go with you on that. Don't try to make it look like Jordan was coaching people. Remember, he's the one that punched Steve Kerr in the face. All right, Steve Kerr's 10 times smaller than him. That's some sucker shit to me. So I'm not gonna act like that's something great. So he's a great player. I don't know him as a man or all of that. I don't judge him on how he talked to his players. I judge him on what he was doing on the court.
Hold on, DC. You gonna you got to use context. Michael Jordan did average 5 assists for his career. In the playoffs, he kicked it up to 6 assists per game. NBA Finals, he led them in the per game and totals. You can look this up right now. Michael Jordan has 209 total assists in
But
the
you
NBA
don't,
Finals.
bro. You
That's
don't
more than
look at
Scottie Pippen.
Jordan as a
Hold
passer.
on, hold on,
You don't look at
hold
That's
Scottie
Jordan as a passer.
Pippen.
So you can't use that argument.
Hold on, bro.
Nah, see, I'm not gonna let you
Bro,
get away with it.
you said he's
But I'm
not. He
just
said he
saying.
didn't pass the ball, and that is not true. Bro,
Yeah, he passed it.
he got more assists than Pippen. How he didn't pass the ball?
Oh my God. I don't know. Like I say, man, this is to me,
Hello?
it goes borderline psychotic because to sit here and try to act like you make it look like Michael
Hey, can
Jordan
y'all
is
hear
the
me?
most perfect player ever
Yeah,
in
yeah,
history.
we can hear
Okay,
you.
we got to stop that, fellas. Okay, because Jordan is
Hey, can
not
y'all hear me?
authentic. If
Yes,
we since now I got to go to the bag. Now I got to go pull
Hey,
everybody card. We got
can
to
y'all hear
stop
me?
trying to act like Michael.
yes, we can hear you.
We got to
Okay.
stop trying to act like Michael Jordan is authentic. Okay, Michael Jordan is a copy of three people. You never talk about that. Y'all, everybody like to talk about Kobe stole his. Look, man, Michael Jordan is the greatest player because of outside of the court. Kobe is the best player.
Slim,
There's
when
nothing
you
wrong with
said
saying
Jordan,
that.
hold on, Slim, when you said Jordan didn't pass the ball, wasn't a passer, I need you to clarify that for me because Michael Jordan averaged
Okay,
six
look,
assists per
I'm gonna
game in the fight.
clarify this again.
Hold on. Michael Jordan averaged 6 assists in the NBA Finals, and that's a 35 game span. That's a large sample
Here we
size.
go with
He
this.
also averaged, hold on, he also averaged 6 assists in the playoffs as well, 179 game sample size. So you can't tell me somebody that's getting more than at least 6 assists per game is not passing the ball. That math ain't mathing.
I,
Come on, man. Let's be
okay, well,
genuine. Come on.
here's
I
once again.
I
Here's
wanted
the.
to I just want to
Go
add
ahead, my bad.
something. They all modeled their game after George Mikan.
Thank you.
Did they?
Don't forget Dr. J. And ask Michael Jordan
Shout out.
about the
Hey, shout
guy
out to
who
old
played
man
in North
Mikey.
Carolina with him. Michael
Yep.
Jordan told everybody that his game is modeled after a guy he used to play with in North Carolina. See, now
David
don't nobody
Thompson.
like to say that. Now look,
David
I'm gonna
Thompson,
end
Julius
this with
Erving.
this because I'm trying to end this. I don't want to go too far with you, dog. I'm not saying he don't pass the ball, but does Jordan pass the ball in the winning shot unless he have to or when he want to?
Is that the play design?
Hey, well, the only time Steve Kerr gonna get that ball is if Jordan triple team.
Okay, hold on. Wait, Slim, stay with me now. Wait, because
Hey,
body
we
language
don't.
don't lie.
What are we doing?
Hold on, Slim, stay with me. When Steve Kerr and John Paxson got the ball, did they look like they were shell shocked, or did they know they was going to get the ball
Here
and
we
they followed
go.
through and
Now we
delivered?
playing emotions. So we go from
Bro,
politics to
I'm asking a
feelings to
question.
emotions.
I'm,
Did
bro, I'm
did it
asking a
look shell
question.
shock?
Bro, I'm just
Now
asking a
look,
question.
I understand. I'm not ready for those kind of questions, but to me because
So,
that's one of the
whoa,
reasons.
whoa. you contradicting yourself. You know, you
No.
contradicting yourself. Because first you said, did Michael Jordan take the shot or did he pass it? And I said, what was the situation? Because Michael Jordan, when he passed the ball, I guarantee you, Steve Kerr and John Paxson went like, oh, I don't know what to do. They got the ball and were ready to shoot. You know why that is? They rehearse them situations. You have to practice your habits. Styles make fights, okay? So when you practice your habits, that develops a style of play. So come on, bro.
See, listen,
what are we talking about?
You're going, listen, look, when it comes to sports, it's really not that deep. You know what I'm saying? We all know
Bro, you
Michael Jordan
you
wasn't
broached this topic. You broached this topic though, fam, not me.
Listen, all I said was Michael Jordan is not a pass first person. I think
I never said
everybody
he
on this
was.
panel.
I never said he was.
Well, that's the point I'm making. I don't know what you just took one word I said. Pass.
Bro, you said Michael Jordan did not get 5 assists. Bro, you said Jordan didn't get 5 assists. That's what you said.
Okay, listen. Here's this. They're gonna stat. You're using your stat for your argument again.
I'm using what you said. Bro, you said that, not me. Don't apply your words to me. Come on, man.
Okay,
don't do that.
I said that. I'm telling you, I said that. See, look, you can't cross-examine me because I'm a great lawyer. Okay,
I didn't say anything about I didn't say anything about cross-examining.
This is good cross-examination. I'm saying again, he might average 5. He get 5, but Jordan ain't averaging 8, 9. Jordan ain't even getting triple doubles.
He actually did in '89. He averaged 8 assists per game. Go look it up. I'm just saying.
Okay,
you
so
saying these things. I'm just refuting.
Now watch this. Here's your word again. Now watch this. I'm gonna go ahead and indulge the court in this. You use the word modified. Modified would mean instead of Jordan scoring that 30 points in a year, he would get about 22 and 8 assists and about 9 rebounds. That's
so
modified.
if you go, hold on. If you gonna quote me, then don't omit everything I said. When I said you have to modify your game to do what? To win.
To win.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's what he did. So if you gonna quote me, don't omit me. Make sure you say everything. Because hold on, Slim. 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 Hold on. When you omit, Slim. When you hold on, Slim. When you omit, that's a form of lying. That's all I'm saying, bro.
I'm gonna back out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, appreciate the invite. Good looking out. Hey, we need to pick this topic up another day, man.
Most definitely. I like these discussions. Yeah, I like these.
Anyway, yeah, thank you guys for coming. Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Rex. Everyone that comments.com, Punani Chemist, hilarious name. Samuel Dumas, amongst others. Everyone that came in and participated in the live chat, Denali Gordon. Everyone that's coming, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing this experience. It is yesterday was the first birthday of Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best. For all that didn't know, trying to get a karaoke with me showing the shirt off, but it didn't. Everyone didn't care because they were drunk at that point. Anyway, anyway, yeah, thanks for coming, and I hope you guys have a great day. You guys have any last words?
Shout out to Sports and Fitness Rants and Man Down Sports. That's what's up.
All right. What
Y'all
about
be
you?
Easy, fellas.
Thanks, man. You too. What about you, God?
Oh man, Dar, you know I live for this, man. I enjoy these discussions. I'm out with my mom right now. That's why I got all that background noise. So I apologize, man. I'll be ready for the next one.
All right, man. Until next time. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best.